electronics engineering. So my very first year, I've been wanting to contest in this course. And the reasons are, I've been observing the way things have been happening, and I always wished if I was in that position, I could have done things differently, and that motivated me to come all this way here. And I believe with the passion I have for helping the student community would further help me do this course in a better way. So I've been a part of many teams like festival marketing team, backend publication and logistics, and as a class representative, I believe that I've gained skills like critical thinking, decision making, negotiation, and many others, which would help me, which would make me a suitable candidate for this course. So regarding my campaigning, I divided it into three particular ways. So the first one was explore. So under explore, I try to identify what the crucial issues that were faced by students in this campus. Under evaluate, I try to figure out what possible solution could be, try to score them based on factors like the feasibility, the time that would take for implementing these ideas, whether admin would approve it or not, and the previous council done something regarding it or not, and stuff like that. And under empower, I aim at making all the resources and facilities in this campus equally accessible and available for everyone, so that all of us can be empowered to make the best use of it. One thing that I want to make clear over here is that all the ideas that are presented are just initiatives, and I can't guarantee that all of this would be happening in the next year. But I just want to start a change, and I hope that it continues. So I would like to thank everyone who's supported me throughout my campaign. For those of you trusted in my abilities, I owe a lot to you. Without you guys, I couldn't have come this far. And the entire motto behind my campaign was together we can be the change. So in the next 1 year, I look forward to creating a feedback-based system in which every decision that is taken by the council would be consulted with each of you, and we would like to take in your inputs before making any decision. I assure you that I would be the voice, your voice, fight for your needs and opinions, and do whatever it takes to get what you require. I would like to thank the present council for all the initiatives that you've taken for the past year. You guys have set the bar up so high that it's going to take us actual efforts to cross it, and I hope I will surpass your expectations. Last but not the least, I would like to thank Task Force for coming up with this initiative called Soapbox, where we got an opportunity to voice out my initiatives. Thank you.
Hi Jesse. First of all, congratulations on becoming the Vice President 2023. So first question to you, why do you think you don't have an opposition? You can take a mic from the box there. Or you can use the podium.
Yeah, so the main reason would be that I feel that people of my batch trust me that I can do this position the justice that it requires. And there was a position in the beginning, as you all knew, but there were certain factors which came into play, and I believe that it's her personal choice, and I really can't put any much into it. But from my point of view, I believe that I've given all the students the confidence that I will voice out their opinions and do whatever it takes to be their person, and that is why there is no position.
Right.
How we see it is people for some reason are not standing for the vice president's post. There seems to be some sort of fear, some sort of reluctance, some issue.
Right.
So what we want to know from you, since obviously you're unopposed, right? You're going to be the vice president, you're going to be announced in a couple of days. What will you do so that there are more candidates that stand in the next batch? How do you push this forward?
Alright, so one thing is that I feel that the exact amount of work that is done by Vice President is underrated, is not publicized enough, and people don't exactly know what the work is. For example, in our election circular, we got a list of 7 responsibilities, but what a Vice President does is way more than that. It's not just limited to those responsibilities. And once people understand the gravity of the responsibilities, the amount of the things you take back from that position, they would obviously be willing to apply. And as the first step, I appreciate the change that you made in the electorate. You guys included that boys could vote. But I believe that it would take a certain amount of time for people to accept that change. Because for years, we've been following this conventional system where only girls can vote for girls. So we need to make people believe that a girl can contest for a president as well. Because right now, the electorate is the same. It doesn't make a difference if she contests for a vice president or as a president. So we need to publicize it properly, and we need to like especially in orientation and all. From the first year, we need to imbibe it in the students that vice president is actually a very, very, very rewarding role.
Alright. Okay. Let's get into your manifesto. So you say the request for extension in mess timings and change in caterers, right?
Yep.
So what are the and this is specific to Opal or
Just to
specific to Opal? So what are the mess timings right now?
So morning we have 7:30 to 9:30. Afternoon we have 12:30 to 2:30. We have snacks 4:45 to 6. And dinner is from 7:30 to 9. But the main problem is with regards to dinner. Say curfew timing is at 9. We come into hostels at 9. We enter open security gate at 9. We go to our there's a huge queue standing for biometric, which takes 9 to finish. We go to our rooms, change and come back. At 9:30 there's no one in the mess. There's no food, and it's pretty tiring. We're exhausted. We pay for mess, so we should get it right.
Right. So my question is, so this extension is pertaining to dinner, right? More
Yeah,
specifically
mainly to
dinner.
dinner. Also, for breakfast, they say it's 9:30, but it's not until 9:30. It stops at 9 itself. So they're not following the timings that they mentioned that they are following. And I know this needs to be taken up with the mess committee, but there's been a lot of complaints that the voice of the students are not exactly represented in the mess committee. So that needs to be checked as well.
Alright. So why do you think the timings are as they are right now, especially dinner?
Yeah, so one thing is that if you need to make breakfast at 7:30, the workers need to start cooking by 3 or 4 in the morning, and for that they need to leave early in the night. That is why they try to finish the
Not
work.
exactly.
That is one reason. The other reason is the people who are the mess people are coming from outside. They don't stay inside campus, right? So they need to go back to their homes and take care of their lives and shit. So it'll take some. They also need to go back home at one point.
Yeah. So yeah, right. So you answered your own question. So how can we extend it beyond 9? Because we have had multiple iterations of discussions, especially regarding the dinner timing. And another issue is that the male workers are not allowed beyond 9. So you're aware of that, right?
Yeah. So one thing what we can do is we can use a shift system where the same people who cook dinner don't need to come that early in the morning.
It is already there. But shifts are already present. So there's a morning and afternoon shift, and there's a snacks and dinner shift, right?
Alright. Another thing that we can do is after, for example, the mess closes at 9, right? At 9 they can keep they've already cooked and kept it, right? They can just keep extra stuff down there, so people who go later can at least take it from there. The problem that we have right now is that there are no people to get it out for us. It's there in the kitchen, but we're not able to access it because the workers are going home soon. So if you can somehow keep extra somewhere nearby, they can at least take it and eat it. We don't expect people to serve it to us.
Right. So you've spoken about sanitary pad dispensers and incinerators inside Opal, right? So do you have any knowledge about the history of this, whether it has been tried out before?
I think it has been spoken of. I'm not sure about the exact details, but one reason I think it hasn't been implemented yet is because it makes more sense to have it in academic zones than to have it in hospitals.
Exactly.
But another thing is, for emergency situations, we can't go outside Opal after 9. I get it, we can ask our friends and stuff, but I feel that is one of the facilities that we require. We shouldn't go and ask our friends. It should be there for us because it's the girls are still
all that is right, but when you talk about dispensers, there comes a lot of problems, right? Because
I understand that. With refilling, we need ladies to come and fill it properly at times. All that's there, but I feel that in this particular situation, the need is more important than the difficulties. So I'm not.
That is correct. I'm not saying we don't need it. I'm just saying that if it is put up and then it is not maintained, because incinerators we had when we were in our first year, and once it got repaired, like that was the end of it. We never saw them again.
Yeah.
So if it is not being maintained, there's no point in installing them in the first place, right? So you need to take extra efforts for that.
Yeah, but like any facility that we implement in campus, it doesn't stop with installation. We need to take efforts to make sure it's maintained properly. And I think that is our job, so we have to ensure it at one point. Like we have to take responsibility for it and ensure that it's done.
Okay. So you said request for 24/7 housekeeping services inside hospitals.
Yeah.
Right? Can you-
So that was mainly related to washrooms. The thing is, washrooms get really dirty at night. Right now, we have one washroom for 30 people. And when we first came to campus, we had one washroom for 60 people. It was open 2 weeks back. So you can understand the state of how dirty it was. And I believe that if we have people in shifts staying inside the common room or some other place, we can make sure that it's clean all the time, because hygiene is something we can't ignore. It's safety.
Yeah. So people, workers staying inside the hostels along with students. Do you think that's a good idea?
I think the lady who comes to clean our washrooms right now, she basically lives in the washroom in the common room. She hangs her clothes where she washes her clothes. She basically lives there. She has all her stuff there. So I don't think it makes a big difference. Like, anyways, the common rooms are not accessible to us right now, so she can just make.
But
use.
you've also mentioned computers with LAN connections in common rooms. Common rooms be open and maintained.
In our floor and office, there are 2 common rooms. One is the one near the washroom. The other one is the one with the AC. So the old one is the one where old computers were used. So that is the one we can use to make our stay, and the other one can be improvised.
It's not the same in every hostel, right? So if you're talking generally, there should be there is already a purpose for which common rooms exist. I get that they have not been opened and maintained yet properly due to the gap, but there is a purpose for them, and this I don't think.
Okay, so another thing we can do is in Opal there's this entrance right where biometric scanners are kept. We can make a housekeeping lady stay there, and if we feel the washrooms are dirty, we can go call them and make them do it right.
Local biometric, the
Like
main
where we
gate.
give a biometric, where we scan the biometric registers are there, yeah.
Just like in the
The entrance
corridor.
Yeah, the entrance of Opal there are chairs there, as Steve and RS sit there and we take.
Yeah. So you
There-
just want them to stay there in the corridor.
They can sit, and if we have an issue, we go call them. Like it should be like right now what they do is after they clean the washrooms every day they get signed from us, right? So we can clean it like maybe 3 hours once and get a sign from one of us if they're there.
No, I agree with everything you're saying. I'm only talking about the night, right? You've said 24.
Yeah. See, the thing is, it gets extremely dirty at night. Like they
Exactly.
come.
So I'm asking you, what about their accommodation in the night?
We can't exactly provide them access. See, for OPC there's the rooms, that's fine. For other hostels, we can make them sit somewhere in the entrance and make them wait until people have an issue.
Talking about it on a very humanitarian viewpoint, do you want a person just sitting all night?
Okay. That's not. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I feel it's very necessary. So, okay, maybe we have to rethink
you
where
need
we make
to-
them
yeah.
stay, but that housekeeping service is definitely required. Very
Yeah.
much.
So just think about how exactly you're going to implement it. Alright. So again, you said the night canteen will be converted to a veg mess, and the food truck will be used as a night canteen, right? So again, the issue of logistics.
See, the thing is, right now we have no night canteen, and the place that was used as a night canteen is completely locked up, and it's made of no use. We're technically we're wasting space that we have. And
Yeah, but
every-
why do you think we don't have a night canteen yet?
Because we did have a night canteen before COVID, but after COVID, people hesitated to come, and the caterers didn't want to take it up. Because one thing is there's a regulation to like only ladies can come, so men are not allowed post curfew, and most of the cooks were men. So that issue was there, but somehow they managed it before COVID. After COVID, they weren't willing to take that much of risk for just the night canteen, because I don't think the profits were that much as well. So they hesitated to come. But I went and spoke to the food truck one in Turkey, and they were ready to come. They have a female person who's ready to come and do everything by herself. So we don't require male assistance there, and she's ready. Only thing is we have to convince admin. And I think that the food truck got permission to go to the NSO ground, the CSAT place. So if we got permission to go there, I believe we can convince them to get it inside open as well.
Okay, that is fine. What about the veggness? So right now you do know that there is one caterer serving both north and south in Opal, right?
Yeah.
And why do you think that is?
Because the division of people in veg and non-veg is not very equal. Like there's less number of people who are veg than there's a non-veg, and if we're dividing it into like if you're having a separateness for veg and non-veg, it won't be equal.
No, I'm talking about north and south.
Yeah, because that's what in north and south there's almost equal distribution of people, right? And like the cuisines are different, so people from different places would like to eat their own food. So
My question is, so we generally have one caterer for south and one caterer for north, right?
yeah,
Now the same caterer is serving both north and south. You're aware of that?
yeah,
Yeah, I'm asking why is that?
Yeah, like I said, because of the entire pandemic situation, we're having a dearth of caterers who wish to come and open and service, which is why we've given they were the caterers who were available. Yeah.
Yes. So in this situation, do you think one catering service will be ready to provide only veg food for a very minimal number of people?
No. I don't intend to put a different caterer there. I intend to just serve the food in a different place. The same caterers in just
You just want them to sit in the night.
yeah. The problem the veg people have is that it's served in the same place as the non-veg people, and they're using the same plate. So if we have just for serving, we can use it.
You
Not
want
for
a segregation in the serving.
yes, for serving. Like right now, it's in the same mess, just in a different location. That's all. That's what I would intend to do.
Okay. So you've mentioned removing first come first serve for electives and minors.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate?
So I believe that choosing an elective or a minor that someone wants is their right in this campus, and it should not be decided based on the internet speed. And I know that there's been a lot of discussion in the council regarding this, and I get all of that. But I think that I don't know if this is a feasible solution, but what I thought of was we could present the same electives multiple semesters. Right now it's there, but it's not there for all the electives. It's there for only a selected ones. I feel that we should do that for all the electives. And for minors, I tried to propose something where we can take more than one minor degree. So that also comes in this. The other thing that we could do is before each course registration, we could send out a G form asking people what courses they want, like we do in pre-course registration in course credit. So in that, if one particular elective has more than 100 people, say, we can offer that elective twice, once in one term or once in the next term. And in that case, like people who want the course will get it. Another thing we can do is, assuming the profs are up for it, we can continue to have OEs and minors online. This would help us because it will reduce some workload on us, and also the large strengths can be accommodated. But another problem with the entire online situation is relative grading, because everyone has equal access to all the resources. They'll all get similar grades. So for that, we can introduce a system where we relative grade with respect to each department. So, and we are hoping that every department has equal amount of participation, and we can't ensure that, but if that works, this should be fine.
Still doesn't answer the point that you've mentioned in the manifesto, which is remove first come first serve. I
Yeah.
don't understand why that specifically. So basically, you're saying that we release a Google form, which is how pre-course registration currently
Yeah,
works. And
No, we try to get an idea of how many people want each elective.
that's what we're doing right now.
Yeah. And then if we feel that if the number of people who want one particular course are too high, we offer it multiple times, once this term and once the next term.
So currently, if a course too many people have registered, either the course itself splits into two sections, or
Yeah.
we increase the class strength.
No, I'm saying that we will tell them that we're going to release the course twice, like it will be offered this time and next time. So they don't have to worry about not getting it because of the first come first served thing.
Okay, I understand that.
Yeah.
But what's the issue with the current system? You understand what I told you. If there are too many people, it either splits into two sections, or you like the class strength in general increases. So
Yeah, so that's what I said, right? Like it'll be nice if it's online, because we don't have the problem of first come first served. Everyone who registers will get the course because it's online, and there's no bar on the upper limit of how many people can register. And like I said, if we implement a system where we can relative grade with respect to department, that also wouldn't be an issue. Only like we need to talk with the faculty and see if they're up for it.
So that's what you had to mention in the manifesto, not remove first come first served.
Yeah, I think I didn't frame it properly. Yeah.
That's not elaborate.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have mentioned plainly revised budget allocation for clubs and fests. So
Yeah.
what do you mean?
So right now, if a new club or it's starting up in our campus, there's 1 year incubation period, right? They don't get any allocation for that 1 year. So I feel 1 year is like a bit too much of time, and we should keep it as 6 months because, like, if the club is doing an actual, see, what they do in 6 months is enough to judge how they will perform in the entire thing. So if it's possible, we can make the incubation period to 6 months. Other thing is, all this while our fests were online. Like now only we had Pragyan offline this year, so we'll be having our first edition of many offline fests coming soon. So I feel that some clubs felt that the budget allocation should be revised. So I think that's what council does every year. But this time,
See, if you're saying revise, it means that you're taking a certain policy and guidelines and you're changing it. What do you want to change? And secondly, only for the last 2 years it has been semester-wise budget allocation.
Yeah, that's
That
the
will
thing.
revert back to a yearly budget allocation.
Yeah, rather than a semester wise or a yearly wise, I feel it should be project wise because, like maybe project wise or event wise. For example, if they're hosting a hackathon or something, a particular budget should be allocated to that. I feel we should like okay, let semester wise allocation be there or yearly. In addition, we can have a project wise allocation because they don't perform the same amount of work toward the entire year or the entire sem, right? So if they're doing a lot of work and need an extra budget for that, I think we should give it. That's what I meant.
Yeah, so in your second point, you have said that it propose outreach events for Pragyan.
Yeah.
Isn't that the work of PPT, Pragyan Publicity
Yes,
Team?
but the thing is, Pragyan has IS certification. It is such a big fest, but I feel that the amount of footfall, the reach, publicity isn't as good as it is. And yes, there were outreach events before in 2014, 2019 called Square One, the Chennai edition, but it has been paused because of it didn't happen this year because of obviously COVID. I just wish to resume it and increase more activities that would increase the publicity of Pragyan.
Okay. You mentioned that you want to restructure the designation of vice president to vice president girls.
Yes.
First question about this: why do you think it hasn't happened this year? Second
Yes.
question: how do you think it helps? And third, what will be your approach to convincing the administration to make this decision?
Okay, so first one being all these years in campus, there's been a convention followed that there is one president and one vice president, and I believe admin has a difficult time accepting that there are two presidents. And second question was, what was the second question?
First is why hasn't it happened
Yeah,
this
okay,
year?
yeah. If admin has a convention, like admin feels there should be only one president, and that's how they think. We can't really go. There isn't much of this like responsibility, difference in responsibilities. It has always been projected. Like, see, for example, when I was in my first year and I had a problem, I went to the president, to the vice president, because it felt like they were more responsible for it. Like that kind of mentality is imbibed in us from our first year, and obviously even admin has been for that because it's conventional. And we can't really force them to change their mindset, right?
So why didn't you propose that we should open up vice president to both boys and girls?
Because it would
Isn't that the better thing to do over here?
that's no. The
Because
thing
president is already open to both boys and girls.
is, yes. See, the population of women in this college is already very less, and we need to make sure that it's at least one girl from each batch in the council to ensure that their opinions and views of the entire female community is voiced out into admin. That is why we have vice president and specific reservation. If we open the role to both boys and girls, it will be like having two presidents. The electorate is the same. There will be slight change in responsibilities, but that doesn't make sense.
Exactly. So we can probably do this thing that we open it up to both, and we choose one boy, one girl based on who gets.
Yeah, that can be done. Like we can see. One more thing is right now the president is an executive committee member of Fest Temple. Vice president is executive committee member of Pragyan. I wish, what I think that should be done is both of them should be executive committee members of both the fests, because both Festive and Pragyan have participation from both the communities, right? So, like that, I feel like you said, there should be two roles. One should be a guy, one should be the girl, but the roles and responsibilities are the same. We should integrate them in such a way that there's not much of difference in what they do.
Okay.
See, so ultimately, when you think about equality, so what do you want? You want one role of a president, and you want girls and boys to stand for it, and you want the best candidate to win, right?
Yeah.
That is what we're ultimately aiming for. That is our end goal, right? So, how is your whatever you have proposed? How is it helping us get closer?
No,
to that?
the thing is, it'll take some time to bring about this change, which you said, right? So,
Correct.
as a first step, we can at least change the designation to president girls. So, both the people and the admin realize that vice president is actually also president. It's not something under a president, but it's as equal as president boys is. So, to start that, I feel we should rename the designation. Moving on further, we can incorporate the stuff we discussed right now. It'll take some time, but we can push that forward.
Yeah, so you've mentioned mobile mess for girls in the seaside ground.
Yeah. So the reason behind that is it's very hot in the morning. We have to cycle. Class gets over at 12:30. We have lab at 1:30. Both are in Orion. We have to cycle back from Opal. Like we have to go from Orion to Opal and come eat food, come back to Orion. That is unnecessary hustling. It will all be solved if we have a mobile mess. Now, with regards to mobile mess, we can either serve food in packets like they were served in quarantine, or we could all bring our own tiffin boxes and there could be a setup over there where we can just go take food we want. That can be done.
In
Or
the seaside ground?
yeah, like I said, the food truck in Tukki got permission to go to seaside ground, right? So I believe we can convince Arvind that just the same kind of track approach, but for the mess food can be put up there.
Okay, and why is it only for girls then? I mean, boys are also cycling in the afternoon
Yeah,
to go to
but
their
right
nests in
now
the
the
hot
boys
sun.
are staying in Agate, so that was like ungarnet, which is closer
Boys
to Orion.
are staying in 20 hostels.
Yes, I understand that, but I just put. I feel like as a girl, I've experienced this. None of the boys complained about it. A lot of girls complained.
Are you sure?
My batch didn't. At least to me, maybe they would have
See,
complained the rest.
the whole argument is when you're putting a mobile mess, which like you're saying you can bring, say, tiffin boxes and
Yeah,
get stuff, or
yeah,
they
okay.
can serve. So it should be a common
It
thing.
should
right?
be, but there's a problem that each of them have different caterers, right? We have different caterers, they have different. Now we'll be putting up mess for each caterer, right? It will create a lot of mess, right? At least to start with, we can put up a mess for Nikesh with the girls' caterers, and if it works out as planned, we can bring it out for other boys.
Isn't a food court there a better idea than a mess?
There's already Nile, right?
Okay. So see, how is a mess there, and what is? Are you going to like construct a
No,
building or-
no. Like I said, we'll have like a truck over there. Food will be cooked inside Opal. It will just be transported during lunchtime to that particular truck, and it will be served there.
Okay.
Couple of things with respect to the scholarships. Firstly, you mentioned that there are technical issues in the scholarship portal.
Yes,
What are you
those were not from the student side. Those were from I found out that right now how scholarship portal works is the back-end workers are finding some difficulty accessing the scholarship applications. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done by the council, like downloading the forms, uploading them in a drive, giving it to them in their hands, and then the admin, like the officials, are accessing it. So if we can find a way which directly uploads it in some drive link or something that directly can be accessed by the workers, or by giving them worksheets or something and making them understand how the portal works, we can fully rely on this
That's
scholarship.
still not a technical issue. It's a technical
Yeah,
issue.
okay, yeah, okay. Those were I didn't say it properly, but that's what I intended.
Because this states it as if the portal is not.
No. The portal from the student side, it works amazingly. There are no complaints about it.
Okay, and with respect to increasing the number of alumni funded scholarships, are you aware that we lacked applications this time, not the number of scholarships?
Yes, so I also spoke about how we need to increase the amount of interaction that the alumni have with the students, the publicity about the scholarships, the internships, and the other services that the alumni are offering to us. And once we do this, we can increase the number of scholarships so students get them.
Correct. So, like you said, publicity is a major issue and interaction is a major issue. How
Yeah.
do you think increasing the number of scholarships is going to help? Because right now, so this time, do you know that the scholarship function happened like 2 weeks back in RRD?
Yeah.
So almost more than half of the students who received the scholarship were not there in person to collect it.
I agree to that. But what I mean by increasing scholarships is the scholarships we have right now are more focused on the academic side. They could include like co-curricular activities, someone who excels in sports, someone who excels in. We have different things going on in campus, right? We could pick those ones out and present. We could have scholarships for them that would attract more people because the domain is different and it would increase publicity as well.
See, the issue is not with increasing. So, if you ask alumni, say, I want a sports-based scholarship, they'll
They
be
will
okay
give,
with
yeah,
it.
yeah.
The problem is from the student side
side,
in
they
terms
have-
of participation. That is something
Yeah.
more. You'll have to look at more
Yeah,
in
so
detail.
while I was talking to the Associate Dean of Alumni Relations, she told me that the problem right now is there's no interaction between alumni and students. Before, earlier, there were less number of students, so the alumni and the students were closely knitted. Right now, we're kind of not really close to the alumni. So,
Okay. So, for example, how many alumni events have we had over the year? For example, let us take 5. How many students do you think participated in each of the 5?
less than 100.
Do you think it's even a number close to 100?
Yeah, like I understand that. Like, okay, one more thing is I feel like students don't realize how much the alumni is doing for them. So one thing we can do is we have Midfest going on, right? So we can include an event where alumni participates. Like I know alumni have work to do, but it's just once a year. So if alumni can come down and interact with students of at least their department, the students will know how much the alumni have to offer can get from them. So we try to increase bonding in many ways, such as this. It'll obviously create a trust factor between the alumni and students, so we can work on that.
Okay. And with respect to offering co-curricular scholarships, do you think students' participation is the only problem? Who is the valid evaluator over there? Do we have sports coaches? Do we have extracurricular coaches?
Yes.
Will be able to give-
What we can do is we have alumni who have excelled in many fields, right? So we can pick out alumni who have distinguished performances in that particular co-curricular activity and make them the valid judge for it. Or we can make a panel of people who have excelled in that field and make them judge whether a student deserves the award or not. Like we can rate it.
Judge on what basis? Like evaluate their performances?
Like it depends on the activity. If it's sports, it depends on okay how many awards have they won for the campus, how many events have they participated in. Like a lot of factors. It's dependent upon the event.
Okay, Jesse, that will be it. Thank you.
So that concludes our briefing presentation and Q&A session. Thank you, Jesse and SC and Nick Task Force. We'll begin the presidential debate in a couple of minutes. very good evening and welcome to Soapbox 22. We are due to begin the presidential debate. First the presentations and then the debate. So we have three nominees in Sakti, Srinivas and Akilan. So I invite Sakti to come and present his manifesto.
Recognize, retrospect, and resolve. Being my primary motive, here I take a golden opportunity to present my idea and suggestions on the stage. A very warm greeting to one and all who present here, and I, Shaktivel, contesting for the post of Student Council President for the academic year 22 to 23. As a student, I have seen and experienced and kindly observed a lot of things happening around us. I have actively stood up for the various roles, including taxing role of Vice President, Mechanical Engineering Association, and I have never shied away for accepting leadership roles, responsibilities, and supporting my peers. I have ensured that to grab every opportunities that brings about the dynamic development using my leadership skills and my basic instincts to bring about a change. I have now decided to take a next step towards a holistic approach, make sure that my willpower to help the whole student community of NIT Tirchi, standing for the role of president. I have number of ideas and initiatives to get a step closer to NIT Tirchi that we all are dreaming of. Here I present my manifesto of ideas and the development of NIT Tirchi when I take the position of being the president. So I have distributed my manifestos into 6 clusters, which I am going to explain now. First up is the student welfare. I have suggested points like making use of RFID card for easier access, increasing the insurance amount, and the second as digitalization. With India going digital, it's important that we as a National Institute of Technology are also up to date. I have suggested that revamping of MIS and the Ruby into intranet into internet. In academics, this is the important of all, and academic standard to maintained as we have established ourselves as the best NIT in India. With regards to that, I have suggested to the RK students visiting the monumentos and personality development classes in my manifesto. The fourth cluster is campus development, which has a tremendous potential to develop itself, having over 800 acres of space to ensure that our campus is well up to date. I have proposed various campus development initiatives like renovation and installation of floodlights for grounds, wheelchair access for places like Orion and LHCs, and Wi-Fi in shopping complex, land facilities in hostels, and etc. So the fifth cluster is women welfare. There has been several attempts from different associations like Women's in NIT Tirchi to ensure both males and females have equal rights and opportunities. This is highly essential as we live in a world where both men and women have proved their capabilities. With regards to the women empowerment and women safety, I have suggested various points like restarting the night canteens, night shelters, and suggestions of suitable timing for workers to enter the Opal, which is like suggested by the girls who are living in Opal. And lastly, I have also give a few more miscellaneous points, which will be upon the responsibilities of President. Few of my visions and the which is internship opportunities provided by Recall, and the scholarship integration with the Links app. That's it. In a nutshell, I have ensured that I have covered a variety of domains and disciplines to make the next big change. The effectiveness of the solution coupled with the practicality is one thing I hope all of you realize. And thank you for Task Force and Students Council for the wonderful opportunity. And we would want to convince people with our manifestos, with not with the mementos, I guess. So with this, I am ending my manifesto presentation. Go to next candidate, and all the best for other candidates. Thank you. A very good evening to everyone present here. Hi, I'm Srinivasa Kannappan. You can call me Srinivas. I'm from Mechanical Engineering Department. So, really happy to meet everyone at Soapbox Event 22. So, I really thank Soapbox and Student Council for providing me an excellent opportunity to express my views. So, let's cut to the stage now. Let me give a brief intro of my all viewers. So, I was the events head of NetFest 22 and cluster head of Pragyan Events team and the General Secretary of Mechanical Engineering Association in Trichy. I was also a management consultant at 180 Consulting. I was also a marketing manager at Synergy and an event organizer at Aave. So let me tell you a few interesting things that will make me stand out as a candidate. With 2 years of college life gone, here we are on the campus. So first of all, what makes someone the right candidate? This was the first question that lingered through my mind when I announced my candidacy back in January. The answer could be the person, their experience, their viewers, their manifesto, etc. etc. But guess what? There's something important beyond these routine details. The very thought of contesting arises from one's mindset to contribute to the well-being of students of campus. As a president, my aim will be to empower the existing system without affecting the current environment. So let's get into my manifesto. So I'll start with the academics part. So this is a controversial thing. So I'll request the administration to reduce the minimum attendance percentage from 75% to 50% for the final year students. I repeat, I'll request the administration to reduce the minimum attendance percentage from 75% to 50% only for the final year students. And I'll have standard mitigation strategies, including plans for CTs and in-semester examinations in case of any emergency situations. And continuation of the semester, continuation of semester and end-sem weightage marks to be 70% and 30% respectively. So let's get it back to the amenities. So reopening the Demora complex will be one of my priorities. And commencement of e-Bahn services for easy navigation. And 24/7 functioning of Okta Lake, Okta is gonna reopen from the next week. Thank you to the existing student council. So, and then 24/7 food delivery to the both girls and boys hostels. So we'll move on to the connectivity and digitalization. Digitalizing the process of obtaining documents like bona fide, transcript, grade cards, and NOCs. Installation of private cellular towers inside the campus. Digitalizing the process of obtaining permissions to use halls and auditoriums. An exclusive student community center is very important. So let's get into the student welfare. Installation of napkin vending machines in all the campus and academic devices, halls and auditoriums. Installation of water level sensors in all the bathrooms. And gateways connecting hostels will be open 24/7 for all the students. And night library shifts till 12 a.m. So an introduction of Lulu bikes on the campus as a step towards clean energy, and requesting TNSTC buses traveling from Trichy to Tanjore to have a stop at any Trichy. So some people could have passed the eligibility criteria, but it's our choice to decide the right one. I hope the students will do that. Thank you.
A very good evening, everyone. I am Akhilan, a third-year student from Instrumentation and Control Engineering, standing for the post of President in the upcoming Student Council election. So, first, I would like to thank the audience for coming here, and the task force, Atheneum, and Student Council for giving me this wonderful opportunity. So, the first question anyone asked me is, why do you want to stand for the Student Council? So, it's simple. While working in various teams like Pragyan Marketing Team, NIPS NIT Orientation Team, PQA Team, Quality Assurance Team, has been a driving force. I consider my role as the CR of my class for 5 semesters to have been my biggest motivation to stand for this election. Being there for my classmates in their time of need, attending to their demands, coordinating with all the professors, and dealing with numerous conflicts within the class has given me a lot of experience. It also made me realize how much I like working with my fellow students. I believe the student council is where I can do this at an even larger scale and give back at least a small part of what this college has given me in the past 3 years. Before going ahead with the changes I propose and want to see on our campus, I would like to express respect for everything the current and the previous councils have done and continue to do for this college. If given the opportunity to be the president of Students' Council, I promise to continue their work and at the same time implement my ideas for the betterment of our campus and the student community. I would like to take you all through some of the points in my manifesto. I'll keep it somewhat brief. So regarding academics, so it's I would like to propose something called interdepartment final year project, and then comes teaching assistantship and aureaship, which has been previously proposed by Madhav, in this previous election, during this time of election. So then comes with the startup internship drive, then exchange programs with foreign universities, and then when it goes for the equality, so it's not for just for women, it's equality I meant. So curfew extension by installing CCTV cameras and improving security measures, and then shop outlets inside the Opal. So we are going to bring back the shops which have been previously working, and women's forum to address all concerns of women in NID Tiruchi, and queer collective for better representation of LGBTQIA+ community, leveraging e-Vahan services for the benefit of specially abled students and girls. And then when it comes for the hostel welfare, everybody's day-to-day problem. I know everybody in the hostel group used to say that we have this problem, like water problem we have. So for that, we have come up with a solution called formation of hostel management committee, which will be headed by an elected hostel secretary along with the representatives from each hostel. They will also lead the mess committee and take care of any hostel related issues, which has been previously proposed and it's not in use right now. So ensuring the Wi-Fi upgradation, clearly I'm mentioning, I'm going to ensure the Wi-Fi upgradation process happens as planned and students get access to high-speed, stable internet by the next semester, because the tender has been already took by a company. So we are going to ensure to be getting installed all over the campus. So then when goes for digitalization, transparent and smooth internship and placement process using the TNP portal. So it's TNP portal. So we are involving the TNP right now. So it's I will explain you if you have any other doubts regarding that. So, providing students with feedback resources and other it's course review portal actually. So information on the courses they would take using the course review portal. Making students aware of various research projects, TA-ship and RA-ship. That's a research portal which is being which has been already built by Delta, which is not alive currently. It's not live. We have to bring it back to live. So Delta currently I've finished the website. Rolling out the improvements with the Links app in phases and adding features such as integrated attendance tracker, mess registration, intra-NIDT marketplace, etc. So we are going to improve the Links app, that is Links 2.0. And then when it goes for sports and fitness, so I'm running out. Renovation of old gym, through which students will get free access to gym facilities, which has been proposed by this current council. So we have to make sure that it should be get done. Refurbishment of kits for college sports contingents, and then providing sports team with enough funds for participating in competitions. That means lunch amount and then medical checkup camps. And finally, campus development, providing with 24/7 octagon access, which has been already done by the current president. Installing road tests and improving the Wi-Fi connectivity and speed in NITT library. Completing the tender process of shops and bringing in potential food outlets. Regularizing the food prices of outlets, which is already present inside the NITT campus. Streamlining the process of fee payment by partnering with an alternate payment portal, which has been previously suggested by the technical secretary, Rani Ruth. Renovating the cycle stands at the NITT entrance. The cycle stand at the NITT entrance is not in a proper shape right now, so we have to renovate it. And then encouraging and supporting the formation of interest groups for cooking, art, gaming, and etc., which has been promised in each and every manifesto. But this time, I just want to make this thing happen. The different plan. Setting up pure veg outlets inside the campus, which is mandatory right now. A lot of students who are who don't use in non-veg outlets, like should be getting a pure veg outlets. And then arranging like as I mentioned, like arranging periodic medical checkup camps for NIT students at NIT hospital. The way in the first year we used to have the eye checkup camp. So that's all. Thank you. Thank you, Peter. We'll now move on to the Q&A session from Student Council and Task Force.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So under digitalization, you mentioned Ruby, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how much research have you done about it, and have you asked CST why they can't shift it to internet?
Yeah, I actually talked with Samsung sir, who is assistant engineer of CST. So, like I have researched for a month. Like, it was my first initiative when I was hired to become president. So, in Ruby we have a plenty of things like including forms, and we can also install number of softwares too. So after I researching, like he said, like with the credentials we can able to do, like with the DAuth or something, like we can make it up. So I did a lot of research in this, and then only I put up this point.
So, what's the exact reason why they can't shift it? Still, you have an answer, because to change
Yeah.
credentials from webmail to Okta is not very difficult, right? So there should be something going on behind that they haven't been able to do it until now, right?
Yeah, it's
So, what's the main issue that they haven't been able to address? Why haven't they been able to shift Ruby to? And it's been suggested by the previous council, like before us.
okay. Fine.
So, what do you think is the underlying issue?
Yeah, I don't know exactly like what is the reason I have talked, and then like he said it's possible. I haven't researched like if it is not possible, I will research something like. But after asking, it is possible, then only I have course like this. So I don't have like.
Okay. Similarly, you suggested in your manifesto that mile-off taxes should be given to everyone.
Yeah,
Why do you think it's not been done? What's the underlying issue over there?
we have to talk a lot with that mile of.
How does it work? How does mile-off work?
Yeah, it's e-library generally.
Okay.
So like,
Who has it been developed by? Developed by the college?
no, it's not.
Then?
Like, basically, I have asked with some seniors, and they suggested to if it's possible, we can like students will be benefit with the.
Why can
mile
it
of-
not be expanded? Do you know or do you not know?
Sorry,
Why can it not be expanded? Do you know or do you not know?
I like it can be extendable only. That's why like if we talk with them, or like we need to market with them in the sense it will be possible.
How will so? Okay, so
You do understand that it's a third party application, right?
Yeah, it's a third party.
Are they giving it to us for free?
No, it's not for free. Actually.
Okay. So what do you think is happening?
The credit for Adobe and stuffs we have access rate for Grammarly even we have access with our identity. So in that manner we can access I guess so.
Did you do your research on what exactly is the requirements for both parties?
Like I've researched hard work.
So you mentioned under MIS 2.0 that it will include hall booking also, right?
Yeah.
So are you aware of the current status of hall booking?
Yeah, current status of all booking is we need to get a printout and then we need to submit in the academic office.
Yeah, just for your information, it is in the approval stage and it's going to be
Okay.
yeah, that is a dedicated hall.
Yeah, not only for those all booking stuffs. Like we can't able to access this MIS in Google Chrome and other browsers too.
It's not on MIS. That's exactly why it's not on MIS. It's a dedicated book.
Like that's why I'm. It's a old JavaScript done by TCS, right?
Okay. One thing that you've mentioned is you want regular departmental monument visits for architecture department.
Yeah,
Do you think? Yeah. Do you think the students' council can advise that or even have a say in that? Who do you
So-
think mandates whether the department goes for a monument visit or not?
Yeah, I addressed the architecture students.
Okay.
Like when I am addressing, like they said, other departments have the IV, so that they
Have
can
the?
industrial visit.
Okay.
So it's easy for like other BTech guys to understand their industrial visit.
Do you think monument visits are in their curriculum or not? Are they supposed to go for monument visits or not?
Yeah, in the curriculum. Like
It's
I
already
have,
there.
No, it's not there. I have included.
Are you sure it's not there?
Yeah, I have asked them, but then like they said, there's still that is like nothing is there.
Did they say that they've not been going, or did they say it's not in our curriculum?
They're not going.
They're not going.
Yeah.
So is it there in the curriculum or not?
I just know.
It's there.
With respect to the RFIDs,
Yeah.
have you done any research on how an RFID works? Do you
Yeah.
have a guesstimate on how expensive?
Like currently we have an ID card. Like in that we have a QR scanner. It's exactly not a RFID.
Which all batches have RFIDs?
Our batch and your batch currently we have. So in that we have a QR cards. If you like QR codes, if you guys going to scan it, our details are there in general.
What's the full form of RFID?
Radio frequency.
Okay, so what does it do with the QR
Yeah.
code?
Like we have to make it like we not having exactly RFID. If possible, we made it for our next batches.
Can you repeat that statement?
We have ID card with the QR code, right? Yeah. I'm exactly like I will tell. So from future we can influence RFID.
So do you have an RFID?
So the ID card that you have right now, so what is it?
It's RFID only there, but then like I don't know, like it's not an RFID, exact RFID.
What do you mean by exact RFID?
Like inside there is a chip, right? Inside there will be a chip. Like with that we can scan it.
Yeah, so in your manifesto, you have mentioned about supporting students via mental health session.
Yeah.
And you have also said that to invite a mental health expert every semester for interactions.
Yeah.
Do you think this is not existing as of now?
This is existing by Hope and other clubs
Okay.
for a whole NIT Trichy,
Okay.
like I mean for whole students,
Okay.
but not in a special for departments. So if department they also like including staffs in there. We also including staffs in there. So
Okay.
it like the expert will be explaining like take a session to
Isn't there proper sessions for the faculties alone as of now?
Yeah, it's there. I'm saying like if we have both like session between both student and faculty, it will be like good relationship between faculties and students too, and then like the whole is like not only for a particular year, all 4 years will be there in the session.
So there is already a community in our NIT which takes care of the mental health. Am I right? So why to specifically mention in your manifesto under your role? So
Yeah, it's like as a president we can initiate. That's what I meant.
it's already been initiated.
It's
am I right?
initiating for whole student, right? For whole student community, not for exact departments. Like
We just have to
it's
expand
make,
it.
like an industrial lecture, or we having like industrial lecture. In that time, like in every evening, we will be having for each and several departments. That's what I mentioned.
Can you explain your OE process?
Yeah,
What change you suggest? Because it's very contradictory in the content itself. One time you're saying it's first come first serve, and before that you're saying fixed number of seats. I first want to know from you how the current system works, and then what you're proposing.
Yeah. Firstly, I have said like we can fix the number of seats, and then we can allot like I can explain the full thing from the start. So basically, as of now, we have first come first serve for whole NIT campus. It's like for a course. But then now what I am going to do is like we are having pre-course registration, right? In that we know how many percentage of people like giving interest from a department, how many number of people are giving interest to the course. So with that base, we took the number of percentage, and if we going for mechanical OE, we going to give 140 seats. If a CS student, total number of students who like the percentage is 40 or something, we can allot those 40 percentage in overall seats. So from that 140, we can allot 40 percentage of seats to CS people.
Why?
Because generally that OE means it's an open elective, means it's every department people need to be attend that.
So
course.
I'll just explain to you how it currently works. Currently, if the entire college is registering and you get 140 seats for a particular OE, we'll open up 140 for the course registration.
Yeah.
So in both the cases, the total strength is the same. So you saying 40% have registered in pre-course means that you're expecting 40% to register in course also. That's what we're doing. So if 40% we've opened it up for in pre-course, like 40% have registered in pre-course, we open it up for 40% during course registration. So that's what's currently happening. What is new in what you're proposing?
Yeah, in present, like it was not like what I'm saying, anyone can register first, right? It's not based on a particular percentage of.
No, but you get it right. Pre-course registration is mandatory for everyone.
Yes.
So the entire college strength, for
But
example.
most of the people are not doing it.
No, everyone's doing it. It's mandatory. If 100 people are there, 100 people have to register. The same 100 will be present for course registration also. So if there are 40% people who have registered for pre-course, we'll open up 40% of the seats for course registration. What is the change that
For
you're
the
suggesting?
particular department, I'm saying, like
That's the same thing, right? It depends on the total number of people who register. Pre-course is also open for all departments.
Okay.
So it's, you understand where you've gone wrong?
I got it.
It's mandatory for all.
Yeah.
Pre-course registration is mandatory for all.
Yeah.
Alright, so you mentioned something called a night shelter. Can you elaborate?
So as per now in NIT norms, like there is a thing, after curfew, if a girl is entering into the campus, she won't allowed inside. So
Sorry, can you repeat?
like after curfew, after 10:30 or something, if a girl getting near to the gate, they won't allow inside.
They won't allow inside at the gate.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I asked the office to like sometimes they're leaving in midnight. If the girl is coming, they won't allow.
So if a girl comes to campus at 12,
With a proper permission letter, like if
Okay.
they don't have that.
yeah. So one girl is just walking into campus
Yeah.
at 12. So you're saying they'll tell her to go back.
That's what happened exactly in 2019.
That's what happened in 2019, and for that very same reason, it has never happened again after that.
Yeah, after that, no one came with the after that they implemented some proper permission letter. If we gave, now they are allowing inside.
See, the whole issue was that girl was not allowed inside campus, right?
Yeah.
So after that, it was strictly mentioned to the security that whenever a girl is coming in, she should be allowed inside. And yeah, even whatever permission and
Yeah,
everything is secondary.
That communication is a lag between the securities among them. So
Okay, do
sometimes
you
they
have
not-
any girl students who have told you that they came late at night and they were not allowed inside campus?
As
Because
of
you
now-
are speaking.
Yeah,
from-
after the issue, nothing happened like that. I ensured
Okay,
that.
then what
So-
are you proposing?
So if in case in future anyone is coming, like they have some legit reasons including the travel and stuff and all. So if they coming by the midnight, if they don't have the proper permission to get in the campus, so
See, what my point is, even if they don't have permission to get into campus, at present they will be allowed inside the campus.
yeah, now it's-
Obviously, later they will be questioned what happened and everything, but there is no. So your argument itself is if they are not allowed, but they are allowed inside campus presently, and it is a very strict rule that girls should not be made to go back or
Yeah.
should not be made to stay outside campus. However late they come, permission is secondary,
yeah, fine.
right? Yeah, continue.
I put for that if they are not allowing, if they are not allowing, we will be having a shelter near to like inside the Opal gate. If
If they are not allowing inside campus, how will you have a shelter in Opal?
like that's the initiative I posted. Like if if I become a president, like at present you said they are allowing inside.
Okay.
In my case, I am saying like at the time they won't allow it, so that I
Which time? Like,
yeah.
see,
Years
okay,
back.
so you're saying that if they don't allow the girl inside campus, you will have a shelter near Opal.
Yeah, the security guards will get security guards who are there. They will pick up and they will drop them.
Yep.
Or else, like, will we have shelter? Not in
Do
Opal.
you think,
Or else,
one second, do you think having a shelter is the best solution? Or do you think they should be allowed and later they can be asked about it the next
so
day why
if
they came
if a girl came like having drugs or something, if she is not allowed inside the hostel, right? If it happens,
I don't think you
So you mentioned about Wi-Fi and shopping complex.
Yeah.
So do you think that is a higher priority over Wi-Fi in hostels, Wi-Fi in library, and Wi-Fi in other places,
so
academic places?
we have we are a standardized institution. So if why don't we have if we have there, it will be good for our.
But you have not mentioned about Wi-Fi in hostels, Wi-Fi in library, and other.
We have
academic
there,
places.
but then as
don't
of now, people can't able to make the payment because the signal is too poor in the shopping complex. So if
So
we
which
have
is the higher priority for you? Is the
academics also important, but then people are grooming there, right? For their necessary needs.
So what about the maintenance? See, for academic places, we have accessibility issues. I mean, we don't have any accessibility issues, and there won't be any maintenance issues. But if it's a common open space like shopping complex, how will you do the maintenance? Is it feasible?
Yeah, we can maintain. If we're going to install it there, we need to maintain. That's our responsibility to do.
Yeah. Also about charging ports. So how will you maintain the charging ports? You have proposed it.
Yeah, the thing is installed here in academic in front of human sensor. Yeah, it was not working properly.
Okay.
If we going to install it, we have to maintain.
Exactly. So you have just quoted a live example of what is installed.
It's not
and
maintained.
working.
It's not maintained so that
It's
not
not
working.
maintained.
Yeah.
It's because it's in an open place. So
Yeah.
how will you make sure it is maintained? What is your proposal?
So after academic year, maybe after a peak times, if we morning we can open it up and we can close it up with the boxes. It's open only. We can have a cupboard. It's basically depends on the design, how we designing the boards. That's it.
You think there will be a specific guide to go to the shopping complex, open up all the Wi-Fi boxes in the morning and then close them off?
Not in every areas. I mentioned in Octagon, library, and academic office. These three areas only.
No, shopping complex.
Not in shopping complex. I guess I put it in sports center.
Mention shopping complex.
Yeah, as well. If we can implement in there, we can able to do it, right?
Alright. Yeah. Apart from that, you talked about ISO certification for Westerberg.
Yeah.
Alright. So first question I want to ask is, how much do you think the president's involvement should be within Westerberg, and this also internal? Firstly, that, and secondly, do you think Westerberg has already tried this before?
Yeah, they tried it.
And what were the issues which came up?
So they when I talked with the current chairperson, he said we don't need to think of it, and there is lot of restrictions. If we're going to implement this, the fest will get with some restrictions, so it's tough to run. That's why.
Okay, can you give details, what restrictions? Firstly, you didn't mention what ISOs.
Yeah.
Right? Can you tell, Pragyan
So-
has double ISOs. So what restrictions are you talking about? And what exactly did the festival channel take?
If
And thirdly, and most importantly, what should be a president's involvement in festival internal actions, internal decisions?
as an executive member only, I'm talking. That's the involvement we can do.
No, can you brief more on what an executive committee member is? Whatever.
So there is a 3 core people. With them we can interact and we can help them with the academic side. Like from admin side, we can help.
Okay, that's okay. So, have they? What did the current chair say about the ISO certification when you asked him?
When I asked him, like he said, if we going to implement ISO, there will be some restrictions in West. So we have to restrict the West, like
He
not.
suggested against it basically.
He suggested it not against to it. Like we can think of if you become a president, we can talk it about in elaborate and we can take actions about it. That's what he said.
Okay, and what are the restrictions we're talking about? What are the issues? First of all, can Festember be in the current status of Festember? Can it get an ISO certification?
Past 2 years we conducted in online only, so it's tough. Once it became offline, like 2019 itself.
You understand that ISO certifications are given to organizations.
Yeah, it's not like from agent we can get it. So I mean like as of now, how the Pregyan did.
No, but it has to be classified as an organization, not as a fest.
Yeah, it has to be. That's all it is.
So do you think it's feasible?
We
You-
can try it up. Like if we step into that, we get to know how to get ISO.
What's the benefit of getting that ISO certification?
In fact, IIT Madras has it. So if we have a two ISO first, in the sense the like it's pride to our NIT. That's it.
But like, what quantifiable gains do we get? If there are going to be restrictions, if it's going to be tough, if it's going to cause issues, then
So we can raise the funds easily for first number.
So
Like,
customer
it's not-
isn't raising funds right now.
Right now they are raising the funds
So
to the
what's
marketing
changing?
team. But then like if we get ISO in the sense, it's easy for marketing team as well
So
as
Pragyan is finding it easy to raise funds.
not that easy. Like
Akilan is PMT, can you ask him?
yeah, I know.
So
But then like
Finish your answer.
yeah.
Okay, Sukhdev. Thank you.
Thank you.
You can use this. Yeah. Alright, very good. Good evening. So, under academics, you mentioned this 75 to 50%, right? So, how is your reasoning and how are you going to approach this in the administration?
First of all, let me start with this. So from our batch, projects aren't compulsory. So earlier projects were compulsory. I mean, till the 2022 batch, projects were compulsory. So instead of that, for example, I have completed 9 elective courses. So I still have 5 elective courses to complete my engineering degree. So I'll complete all the 5 elective courses in the next semester. Since the since the maximum count for an elective count is we don't have the elective count. Since the maximum number of credits which can be completed in a semester is 28, I still have 15 more credits to complete so that I'll be able to get my degree. So I just feel that reducing the attendance percentage will help the students to focus on more things. Like for example, if some student is doing an internship in foreign university or IITs, they'll be able to focus more on their internships. And all the core courses are getting completed by the end of this semester. So, and one more thing is that like a lot of people are preparing for UPSC, GRE, GMAT. So, if someone is able to improve their preparations because of the attendance, so it will be a benefit for them, and it will be a benefit for the institute too.
Understood, Srinivas. Now, the same reasoning that you've given, try to give a reasoning for the last point. The current system is 50-50. You want to make it 70-30. How do you convince the administration to do that?
So, like for the online thing, like we have 70 to 30. So, it's actually the professors have the freedom. Actually, the professors have the freedom to shift the the percentage of the weightage which is given. So, I just feel that like this system can be continued because just rather focusing on a single final exam which has a highest weightage, like you can plan meticulously on the internal examinations, which will help the students to focus more on the subject. Instead of, a lot of us study only for, for example, if I'm taking a subject, if I'm taking an OE, if I've done very poor in my internal examinations, people will feel that like I can focus on the end semester examination and I have 50% weightage for that. But if you have 70 and 30% weightage, people will meticulously focus on these internal examinations and it helps them to improve their academic knowledge.
then another thing that you mentioned on the hostels is that you want the gates to be open 24/7.
Yes.
And the reason that you mentioned is it was done due to the pandemic.
Yes.
Do you think that's the exact reason for which it was done?
I heard, I'm not sure about whether it was a rumor or something. I heard there was a molestation case inside the campus. I'm not sure about that.
Because
So-
of which they put the gates.
Maybe. So
How does that help?
No, like
The
separating the
gates
hostel.
are outside the boys' hostel region.
Yes. So like I heard like it was done. Like I'm not sure about it. I heard it was done in the near Aquaman or something. I mean near the Aquaman cemetery. So yes.
Just a pointer to all three of you guys. If you haven't done your research and if you aren't 100% sure, stop throwing out such accusations and rumors, especially in a platform like this.
No, like I just mentioned that it was a
If
rumor.
it exactly that.
Like I didn't
if it's a
mention that
rumor,
it happened. Yeah.
If it's a rumor or if you are unsure about certain facts, please do not utilize the stage to know.
No, like
say
that's
it
why I
out.
had a caution that it was a rumor.
If you are unaware, it's completely fine to say you are unaware. Cool.
It was done to stop cows moving into the hostel region. So there was a huge issue where students were getting attacked by cows at night. And there were a lot of cases in which students were rushed to the hospital, not one or two, but about 50, more than that.
And I have one more question. So what if the cows can enter during? I mean, you have the gates open during the
Daytime.
daytime.
During the peak time.
Yeah, peak
we have
time.
them
Yeah.
open.
So consider that like one of the two classes are getting cancelled. One guy has a class at 11 to 11:30. So that guy has to travel around the all the hostels and has to get back to the Orion. So can we just focus on something else instead of having these gates? Like how to prevent these cows entering these hostel zones?
Correct. So what we assume when we implemented the gates is in the peak times, if we have them open, that basically means that there'll be enough people around to prevent cows from entering inside, right?
Yes.
But
What if the cow enters during the daytime?
That's what I'm saying. There'll be enough people to prevent that. Whereas in the zones, in the times at which it's closed, there are not enough people to monitor the gate. You understand?
So I have one more question. So what if we have a security? We have securities around all these gates, but in some gates we don't have securities. What if we increase the securities count, count in all these gates so that he will be responsible for preventing all these entries of animals into the hostel zone? That will be feasible, right?
That's what the permanent solution is, right? So that's what you have to
Because
implement.
I mentioned it because people are feeling very inconvenient during the academic period because they have to cycle them around, and a lot of people have been facing this cycle theft also. So they have to walk all the way around to the campus. The academic place. So
Makes
that's the
sense.
reason.
Makes sense. I'm not saying you're wrong, but you do get the point as to why the gates were there.
Okay, got it.
Okay. Then, with respect to the 24/7 direct food delivery, it's currently direct to open, right?
Yes.
But why isn't it direct to the boys' hostels? What do you think is the reason
So
why?
I heard I'm just putting a caution for the thing. So some people are I heard that some things are being smuggled inside the hostel. So that's why they're stopping the the food delivery people at the security gate and they're asking the people to collect the food.
That cannot happen at the places where it's being directly delivered right now.
Sorry.
That cannot. That
So that's
cautionary.
what I'm saying. We can allow the people after doing the multiple checks.
Okay, is that the reason why it hasn't been implemented? Why do you think we haven't thought of that? Why do you think we haven't implemented it until the hostel?
Yes, I interacted with the security people and over there, so they said this is the main reason, and that's why they are not allowing the people to enter the hostel zone. And one more thing is that theft reason.
Are you sure?
I'm
Do you
partially
think
sure.
it's a fault on our side, or do you think it's a fault on the provider's side?
No, what does the provider do here?
Think
Like-
about it. Do you think there are directions to individual hostels? Do you think the distance to individual hostels is
Yes, I
measured?
guess all the hostels are updated in the Google Maps.
Check it in.
No, I guess
Check. Do a check.
no, okay, cool. So no, at least if they allow them inside, the people can interact them directly, and then
What about the delivery costs? What about the costs from the hostel gate till Amber? Do you think it's the same as the delivery cost till the gate?
No, people
Check
are
this.
ready to pay for the delivery cost, and the people are feeling inconvenient to travel from. For example, if I'm staying in Zircon, people are feeling inconvenient to travel from Zircon to the hostel gate office. to collect
Exactly.
the
It's
food.
not something from our side. It's something from the provider's side.
No,
where they wanna.
And as a pointer, even though till hostel office, Zomato and Swiggy can work, a lot of the providers stay at the gate and call us.
No, like I interacted with Mr. Suresh, who was the ex-hostel convener. He said like the hostel office wasn't permitting them beyond the point. So if the hostel office was, I mean, and one more security I interacted with said, if the hostel office gives the permission, they'll be permitting the, like the delivery person to the respective hostels.
It's not from their side.
Sorry.
It's not from the hostel office side.
Okay.
At least not after we left.
Okay.
With respect to the connectivity and digitization entire portion, okay, both your digitization manifesto points are already in approval stage right now. So, yeah, firstly, were you even aware of it when you put in your manifesto? Did you do your research? Did you talk to the clubs or did you talk to anyone from technology?
Yes, but like I wasn't updated about the digitalization part, because like I heard these informations weren't publicized publicly. So
So under student welfare, you mentioned about a student community center.
Yes.
Student community
Yes.
center. You would like to hear more about that from me.
yes, previously Madhav also mentioned that like a student community center. So I'm not. I mean, due to the pandemic, I guess like we didn't have the vital resources to build that. But currently, we have 777 acres in the campus. In that, only 1/3 is actually occupied. So we have a lot of empty spaces, and students especially are feeling inconvenient. For example, if a person has to work on a project, they don't have a common place to work on. So, like building a student community center will actually benefit them.
Yeah, it will benefit them. But what is your proposal? How will you propose it to the admin, and how will you get it done?
So yes, as I have mentioned it, there are new clubs being added into the NIT Trichy every year. So we don't have sufficient space to accommodate them. Till now, we have been using CCDs to accommodate all these clubs. So
Are you aware of the current initiatives which were tried in order to provide space to clubs and
yes,
other
yes, of
associations?
course. Like what I'm trying to say is, like building an exclusive student community center, as you have also mentioned in your
No,
previous.
I'm saying, are you aware of what the current council tried in order to provide club rooms?
No,
and
I
other
mean,
common-
I'm not sure about it.
You've not asked any club?
No,
any...
I've actually asked. What they said is they'll be providing some rooms in Orion to accommodate. I mean, rooms in Orion in the evening part.
Just Orion?
Yeah, like that's what I heard. Like, I mean, the academic premises. I mean,
Did
like for
anyone
example,
mention the Triple IT building?
sorry.
The Triple IT building. Did
No.
anybody mention the Triple IT
No,
building?
no.
So one more thing under your connectivity and digitalization, you mentioned installation of private cellular towers
Yes.
in the campus.
Yes.
How do you plan to go?
Yes. Till now we have BSNL, which is a government-oriented government-oriented cellular tower. But like a lot of people over here use private cellular connectivities. So I just felt that the signal of these these providers are very low, and it's not very difficult to install a tower inside the campus. All you have to do is just go to the portals of the respective private cellulars and then apply for the tower. And I guess we'll be getting a revenue from that also. So yeah.
Was it ever taken up in the past?
Sorry.
Was it ever tried in the past?
If we have been, I'm not sure about it, but if it was tried, I don't think we don't have any difficulties in getting the private towers because we have
Can you
BSNL
think of
towers.
any reasons which may have been suggested by the administration to
Maybe
opposition
the
of
one
this?
one thing is that the negotiation part wouldn't have been successful, and that might be the main reason.
try to find out what
Cool.
the exact reason is?
Sure.
So under student welfare, you mentioned ULU bikes.
Yes.
Right. So I think this has been in talking for the past few years, right? Some kind of a cycle sharing system
Yes,
in
yes,
campus.
yes.
So why do you think it's not been done yet?
So first we had, let me come to the e-vehicle part. We had Transvahan, which was an electric auto, and now all these autos are stationed because of the technical difficulties, and all these the Transvahan wants to run these services again. So they want to sign the MOU again, and then you have to continue these services. And the other part is that the cycle. It's ULU bikes aren't exactly cycle. It's an e-bike which can be shared, and it's the speed of the ULU bikes is similar to the cycles. And the other thing is that we have to the ULU bikes have a slot to swap their batteries also, so you don't have to go and wait in a charging station. So yeah.
have you spoken to somebody at ULU to kind of check the
So
feasibility?
like I checked out their website and like I interacted with a person and I checked out the website. What they was like they have implemented ULU in TCS Chennai and they are open to implement ULU in all the academic premises also. They have mentioned it clearly in their website.
So do you know that ULU or something similar exists in IIT Bombay?
I'm not sure about the name, but I know that something exists.
Yeah, and do you know what the problems are surrounding that?
I'm not sure about the IIT Bombay. So.
Okay. So generally, so suppose we have, say, like you say, we install ULU stations all over. So what kind of problems do you think can occur?
Mainly like maybe so it depends on the negotiation. So if they are requesting for the charging ports, we have to arrange for them. So there are two sides of the coin. So either they can arrange a charging station outside the campus and they can swap the batteries inside, or we have to arrange them the charging ports for charging the batteries. And the battery specifications are 60 volt and 12 ampere. So it takes around 720 watts for the entire battery to get charged, and it gets charged for 6 hours. So each battery gets 4 units to charge it completely.
No, so I'm asking what problem can occur. So like I mentioned, IIT Bombay already has an existing system, and there are a lot of problems. Similarly, IIT Kharagpur also has an existing system which was internally developed, and they are also having some issues.
Yes.
Right, and especially doing it with ULU bikes which are not your own cycles, right?
Okay, yeah. Maybe the main issue might be the connectivity issue. So that's it. Like, you have to scan the QR code. So if you don't have the proper connectivity issues, that might be a major problem.
Connectivity is much lower down the priority. Can you think of something much more serious which will kind of not let us
Maybe the
this?
security of the cycles, like the cycles are stolen. Is that so?
But see, what will you do with the ULU bike? Like,
no, like I mean, all the ULU bikes are tracked with the GPS, so you can't even steal the ULU bikes.
okay, I'm asking about issues. Like, you give me
Maybe like I just feel like so if you provide the right right resources to them, I don't think we'll face a lot of difficulties. So I'm not sure about like maybe you expect a different answer, but let me.
Okay, so what do you think about the maintenance?
Yeah, maintenance is done. It's done exclusively by ULU. So they are responsible for the maintenance. So if they request us to give us a charging accommodation for charging it, like we can consider it. Or else, like if they are ready to charge it outside the campus, that can be done.
Okay, so question to all three of you. Financially, why do you think this whole idea of e-vahans and the ULU or common cycle sharing system, right? Why do you think it has not worked so far? All three of you can take it. Financially.
So let me.
Yeah, not just in NIT Trichy, I think in a lot of especially academic institutions and government institutions, it has not worked out. Yeah, and even major cities, right?
Maybe like let me discuss this. So maybe the main issue is the maintenance. The maintenance wasn't done properly, but ULU is taking complete responsibility of your maintenance. So we don't have to.
ULU itself has not worked in a few places, which I can name off the top of my head. So.
Okay.
I just want to. So.
Can you be a little louder?
Yeah. So the way, like he has mentioned about ULU, right? Something similar as the same similar service has been established in IIT Kharagpur, which has become failure. The reason is people used to take the cycle and they used to lock the cycle whenever they want. So because of that, not everybody was able to use the cycle properly. So that's why like ULU won't work here. And secondly, with e-Vahanana, like nobody will spend 10 rupees in order to move from one place to another because everybody is using cycle. Already it's a green campus and most of them are comfortably moving up with the cycle. And NIT Trichy, for the places like NIT Trichy, a cycle is enough in order to reach from one place to another. In case of emergency, they might go for electric vehicles in case. So they don't want to spend some money on it.
Just an added perspective, you want to say something before I go ahead? Go ahead.
So, like as Akhil said, like people are having cycles. So some people, like cycles are being stolen, and if a cycle is being stolen, if a student doesn't have enough the capital to buy a new cycle, so for time being, that student can use a ULU bike to travel across the campus. And our campus is one of the biggest campus in the country.
Exactly. So in that sort of a scenario, do you think YOLO is the right solution? You don't know how the YOLO system works. You
Yes.
need to go to the bike, take it, and then travel to another place.
Yes.
So, for example, they give us X number of bikes.
Yes.
You have to go to a particular place to get it. Someone might leave it at some other place.
No, you can pass the ride. You have the option to pass the ride in YOLO.
You have the option to pass the ride, but where do you park it? If you park it at an unusual spot, someone has to come to the unusual spot, take the bike, and go somewhere
No,
else.
just let me complete it. If you're passing the ride, the entire YOLO bike will get locked. No one else can use it. So if that person has left his YOLO cycle over there, he will be charged. I mean, like the timer will be going on and he'll be charged accordingly.
So the main point you mentioned here is financially, right? So you mentioned that if a student is not able to, buy a new cycle, so how does your whole argument fit with what you
Yes.
just said?
So it's for timing, right? So at least I'm not asking you.
What is for time being?
No, like I'm just saying, for a person, if a person is not able to use his cycle, so like instead of the auto costs around 60 to 70 rupees. So if he wants to travel from one place to another, he can go to directly to the YOLO stop and hire a.
First question: do you think e-Vahan would be better or worse than YOLO for our campus? Second, in the long run, for example, we stop students from buying cycles. That way, there are more number of YOLOs in the campus. Do you think even then, for example, the whole of Bangalore probably has about 500 YOLO bikes,
Yes.
right? Which is not enough to suffice their demand. Do you think the campus will have enough such that a student, as soon as he comes out of his hostel, he'll get a YOLO and he'll be able to go wherever he wants?
So like that depends on the firm, and we have to negotiate with them.
Yeah, but even then, do you understand that it might be parked at unusual spots such that your purpose is not solved? Basically,
That's
a
what
cycle takes you from your wherever you park it to wherever else.
Yes,
you
yes.
want to go.
So you have the option to pass. I'm just reiterating again. You have the option to pass the ride. So only if you park the YOLO bikes in the respective slot, you will be you won't be getting any charges. So if you don't park it in the respective slots, you will be charged, and you will be paying, and you would have given some fixed deposit of rupees 500 for the YOLO bike. So that will be used. So
Okay, Srinivas, thank you.
yeah, am I clear?
Common question for all of you. So, do you think it's ethical to distribute things during your campaign forwards?
Yes.
And I request everyone to answer, starting with you. You can start.
Yeah, so it's one of the worst part ever, I think. The reason is this will promote. See, what's happening inside the campus is quite different. Like most of them are like we are students of NIT Tirchi. Like we are studying in one of the top institute, and like if you have seen outside, people used to give gifts. For example, they used to give money. It's nowhere like different. Like I couldn't able to find the difference between both the things. This is somewhat equivalent to just like it's like somebody may say that I'm just giving a gift, just a moment of thing. It's nowhere different. Even like somebody who is going to give money, or like if you have seen that here like nose piercing and all, whole nose piercing and all, they used to give in local politics. There's nowhere difference. This will eventually evolve into a bigger thing. Let's say if something is going to happen, something like this in this current election, the upcoming election, one of the student will go in a higher stand, then he will get some chocolate or he will get some kind of worthy like cool drink or something like that. So this will promote the same thing in a larger case. So it's not fair. That's what
I want to reiterate on this. So, like, if you have seen the normal elections, so it's fine to give you some. For example, the politicians used to give some clothes. They call it a silk cloth or something else. They'll wrap it around the people. So it's just a memento. I'm just terming it again. It's just a memento. It's not a gift. So if people are considering it as a gift, and if people are going to vote based on these mementos, it's completely hilarious.
Yeah, I guess like if the memento, like he's saying about memento, then why he need to give to people? Like there is no need to give of that. I think it's ethically it's not good to give a memento or something. It will register in somehow to the students. It will not work.
Okay, thank you.
So see, I just wanted to, like memento is a thing. Like usually, like they haven't termed anything. Like your memento is a thing just for a remembrance, okay? So I just wanted the people to remember the campus, and it's just I don't want the people to get influenced because of this. And I'm pretty sure that NIT people are intelligent enough to think that this one is not going to influence them.
That's great, Srinivas. But why can't you give it before elections? You have announced that you are going to stand for election. I'm doing this. This is not fair. If you want to contribute something like that to the campus, you could have done it before announcing your nominee. So you are right now you are a candidate, and if you are going to do something like that, for sure it will get converted to that. So think about the neutral people who don't have any idea about that. Okay, so cool. No offense.
We're just asking for your views, just to be clear that we don't have any policy as to giving mementos or not giving mementos in our council norms. So it's entirely up to the candidate as to what he says.
And did I violate any rules according to the student council election?
As I said, there's no rule.
I haven't violated it, right?
I'm not saying you violated, but this will evolve into some, like, I have mentioned before.
Alright, yeah, we'll put an end to that. Yeah, so Akilan, yeah, we'll be starting. Thank you, Srinivas. So first section is academics, right? You mentioned a startup internship, right?
Yeah.
Right. So what do you think you're going to add new that is not already existing? And yeah, before that, can you also answer for me who are the current clubs, teams, or forums that are already working on?
I'm not getting you. Like
Current club, is there
Listen,
any club?
listen.
Anything else?
Anything like I think about 180 DC.
180 DC is giving internships?
No, not in sorry. So not clubs. I know an organization called SETI, like as I've mentioned
Okay.
clearly.
Anything else?
Like those are the two things I've researched. The reason why I put up this thing into a major scale is myself and one of my friend visited Mr. Krishnan, is a SETI officer. Okay, like he has told that most of the startups are being the startup which is happening in the SETI is being underutilized, and he has clearly mentioned that every year he will be able to give around 60 to 70 internships for the students via SETI startups which is working under which is happening in the SETI. So like I thought of why can't you regulate everything into a streamlined process? So why can't you make a website for that? And apart from TNP, not everybody is able to get an internship from TNP, right? So why can't you do something like that? So that's what.
Did you ask Krishnan sir why it hasn't been already? Did you ask Krishnan sir?
Yeah.
Why hasn't it been done?
Actually, the first reason he has told is the reason what he has told is this is not being publicized properly. That's what he told, and we are not.
Do you think it's publicized or not publicized properly? What is your opinion, sir?
So for me, the opinion how I am gonna publicize it, you're asking me how I'm gonna publicize it, right? So simple, as I told you, we cannot create a website especially for city. Okay, we can create a website for all the startups who are ready to provide.
Another pointer: creating websites, creating apps for one purpose alone, right? It doesn't make sense because students will not. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
There's so many apps, there's so many websites which students don't access at all. Even a centralized application or a centralized website, unless and until the utilization is completely necessary, students don't even visit it. How many of you visit your webmails?
Webmails.
Your webmail.
Yeah, of course, I used to visit it every day. Most of them used to visit it because of they used to send mails to professors and all, right? They used to visit, and it has been online SEM previously, so most of them used to visit. So for the past 2 years,
Are
they
you
used
sure?
to.
Are you really sure? Because that is not the case.
Okay. So even we have another idea I'll tell you, I will mention. So websites, as you told you, we need website. Without website, we cannot publish it. Secondly, more than website, we can conduct some startup offline drives as well. We can have a offline interviews, we can have a session, we can have a window for that with the help of SETI.
So a major issue with that is the credibility of the startup, right? So
Yes.
do you know that TNP also does invite a few startups
Yeah.
for interns and placements, but not all of them. So not any startup can just come through TNP and take people from our college, right? I mean recruit people. So having a startup internship drive of such massive scale, so how do you think you'll manage the credibility of it?
See, think about credibility means this is being maintained by our SETI itself, right?
Maintained or not by the city, any startup in a pre-incubatory phase can flourish, can die.
Yes. See, this is somewhat equivalent to what a person used to get an internship from off campus. Okay, instead of
Is it? Because you should understand that for a person for a third year, right? Will he go for an internship which is being offered by a startup outside TNP, or will he go for a TNP internship? And
See,
why or why not?
Correct. See, this is not only for third years. Okay, it is open for second years as well as the fourth years. And TNP, if the person is not able to get an intern on TNP, like why can't he try it? Like this is not official actually. This is not officially like we are not gonna incorporate officially with TNP. Exactly.
So now, as the body that's going to be calling the internship to take students from NIT, if you can't convince them that third years majorly will be applying for the startup, how will you convince them to come down to the college?
See, you
You just told me that first they'll prefer TNP internships,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And then majorly second years and first years will be applying, right? So if you can't convince them that an enough student population will be applying to your company, how will you call them down?
No, why I'm not gonna call them? Like they're ready. They're already ready to give. Actually, they're already ready to give. Why I'm going to call
The
them?
companies which you are talking about cannot assure you any guarantees. Yeah,
They
they
can-
can't assure you any guarantees, and this is through us talking to them individually as well. They can't assure you anything.
That's true. That's true. See, like what
Okay,
I
so if as a students' council president, if you want to initiate this, then what guarantees can you give to a student that his stipend will come,
see,
or he will not be like overly leveraged for work?
for that, like see,
One thing is just, so the whole point of what we're trying to say is if you bring it in, right, through SETI or it's already existing, whatever, you are taking responsibility for it.
not myself. Like SETI will take.
Not you, in general. Like, so, see, you're saying it is not, it is similar to how they'll get it off campus. If they get it off campus, it's their own responsibility, right? Suppose if it is not credible startup, whatever it is, individually they're responsible. But that's not the same case here. Is the point we're trying to put.
Yes. Why can't we do like in order to prevent that, like we can make the city like in order to like provide assured stipend, so we can do something like that.
Okay. And okay, we've already had that discussion. One thing. Okay. Second thing is, are you aware of the alumni portal and the opportunities available on that?
Am I aware of?
The alumni portal and the opportunities available on that. For
Are we-
example, you're telling me about SETI internships.
Yeah.
Have you visited the alumni portal?
Like I've visited, like there are some internship opportunities also. being
How
provided.
many?
Like I don't know the exact number. I don't know the
Roughly?
exact. Roughly, no, I don't have the exact number actually. So
There are about 80, 85 opportunities available there. Okay.
Under your campus development, your manifesto you have mentioned regarding completing the tender process of shops and bringing in potential food outlets. Yeah. So, have you done the research for before mentioning that point?
yes, I've done that actually.
Okay, so in your first year, probably Gurunath was open and Chennai Bakery was open, and other shops like those were open in a boys' hostel zone. Now they are all closed. So, what do you think is the reason they are not yet open, and what is the problem with the tender process as of now? And how will you propose? How will you make it better?
Okay, for Chennai's bakery, what I heard was like he has been extending the tender for 5 years. Like he has came for 2 years, but he has been extended the tender for 5 years, and finally he booked a case. Like there happened a case, I guess, like against the.
Are you sure?
Yeah, this is what I got to know from the shopkeeper, like from fine. So yeah.
Did you talk to the estate maintenance department regarding this?
Regarding that, I didn't speak to the estate maintenance, but in order to get the potential shop, as you told you, like if we have, let's say we are having a shop like Sara, or we are having a shop like Dimora. So what the better thing we can do is, while calling them for tender, we can suggest the potential shops to apply for the tender. So by suggesting that, we'll be able to bring some potential good companies. Let's say like Burger King, not Burger King, like.
How can you suggest? Can you repeat?
Suggest in the sense we can go to the outlets and we can ask them to apply for the tender. So that's what we'll be able to bring.
You publicize it in the paper, right? Other than publicizing it in the common place, you want to specifically go to the outlets and inform them regarding this.
So it's not exactly like that. For example, let's
You're inviting them.
Yeah, I'm inviting them.
Okay.
Actually, in order to get a brand like CCD, we have to invite them. Without that, like because NIT's tender portal is a lot of people will visit, but we have to make sure that whether it has reached the eyes of the bigger brands. So
Okay.
that's what we are gonna do.
Okay.
So at last we need some quality food and we need some exclusive outlets, right? So that's all.
Regarding the reopening of the present outlets, why isn't it open and what will be your take on it?
Yeah, like as I mentioned, like there are some outlets the tender is being working on it. I got the information, like before looking into the information, I think the help of the current student council, like they have mentioned that they have clearly working on the reopening of the shops, which has been previously present in open. which is a photocopy shop. Yeah, a photocopy shop and like a station, like alongside with the stationery. So like the tender is like they are working on the tender. So I thought of like we'll be able to work on the tender and we'll be able to bring it back. So as they have mentioned that by the start of the seventh semester, it is possible to open those shops. So that's why. So I thought like I'll be able to bring those shops.
Okay. So you have mentioned about regularizing the food prices of the outlets. Yeah.
Yes.
So don't you think this is already being done?
No. I will tell you, there is one issue. Like it's a major issue. I don't want to talk about that right now because like the reason why I've clearly mentioned this, I know some kind of question will arise like that. If you have seen the shop like Nile, okay, they used to provide veg fried rice for 60 rupees. But if you compare the same price with Vinayaka, he used to provide for 100 rupees. The reason is that person is not having mentioned that like Vinayaka is allowed to only sell tea, like coffee, tea, and Maggi. But he is selling without any permission. And like, why a student have to pay 100 rupees? Like where like we can make him to regulate the price for 60 rupees. So that's what I thought of.
So you're saying that it already exists, but they're not following it. Is that what you're saying? You're saying that the price regulation and the menu regulation already exists, but they're not following it. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, not at
Then
all.
why did you say Vinayaka is only allowed to sell tea, coffee, and Maggi?
No, because like they are tea shop actually. They are night canteen and
Exactly. So why did you say that they're only allowed to sell tea, coffee, and Maggi?
like some other items as well. So sorry, like not fried rice or shawarma or something.
Yeah, not fried rice or shawarma. Why did you say that? Do you think there is a regulation in place because of which they are not allowed to sell it, or they're just not selling it, or they're selling it?
See, like
How does a tender work? How does a shop tender work?
Yeah,
When we
so-
call a shop, is there any regulation that's done by us?
actually, as a council, what we can do is, I'll tell you. So, if there is a requirement, let's say there is a hostel. Let's say there is no brew shop. Okay, so for like the brew shop is connecting 3 hostels.
Just answer in a yes or no. When we release the tender for a shop to come inside, is there menu and price regulation or not?
Yeah, we have.
We have menu.
We
and
have
price.
it.
That's the question that I'm asking from the
Yeah,
start.
we
So
have
we have
it.
that.
Yes.
So shops are not following it.
Yes, shops are not following it.
They're not following it.
Yes.
That's what I asked you.
Yes. Sorry.
Okay. So you wanna avoid that.
Yes.
So what is your responsibility when you find out that Vinayaka is selling something which is out of its menu or for a price higher than another?
See, first thing is a lot of students are getting we need to first of all like we need to get those food items under the tender actually. First of all.
What is your responsibility when you find out a shop is not selling a menu at the right price or selling an item which is not on its menu?
First thing is we have to stop.
As a normal student, what is your responsibility?
As a normal student, I will go and complain. I will go and complain to the person who is responsible for that.
Who is the person responsible?
hostel office?
What? For
No,
shops?
estate maintenance. Estate maintenance. Estate welfare committee.
So everything already exists. You're saying you will inform the students that you can report such activities.
Yes, yes.
So you do the publicity work.
Not just publicity work. Even I myself can go on as a president. I myself can go on request.
Only when you know you'll go, right?
Yeah.
So who will inform you?
Students has
The
to.
student has to inform you.
Yeah.
So you'll inform the students that you can inform us.
Yes.
Just publicity work.
Yes.
Alright, so under equality, you've mentioned curfew extension, and more specifically in your elaborate the one you've posted, right? So you have mentioned security will be increased near the boys' hostels to prevent trespassing. So you have mentioned that security will be increased near the boys' hostels to prevent trespassing.
Yeah.
So trespassing of what?
Actually, trespassing in the sense it's quite offensive, I know, but not exactly what I meant. Like during the night times, like see, during the night times we are extending curfew only for the particular academic zones. We are going to let the people, like let the girls only near the academic zones. We have to prevent the people from entering the boys' hostel zone. Already we have boys' hostel gates. We have boys' hostel gates, but we have one more entrance to go. So we have to increase the security in order to avoid them like entering the boys' hostel zone. That's what I mean.
Okay, and you have said by installing CCTV cameras and improving security measures, right?
Yeah.
So what kind of improvements do you have in mind?
Actually, I'll tell you. The first reason why the admin is restricting regarding the curfew extension is security reasons. Okay, so in order to when the topic came to my mind, like the first thing what I did was like as the previous council has promised, so what kind of work they have done. So I've approached your council, I have approached the current council, and you guys have to suggested me that by saying that you guys have already proposed it to the security office, and they have proposed, like they have surveyed over the campus, and we need to fix 150 security cameras all over the campus in order to have a proper in order to have a proper vision. So secondly, we cannot install security cameras near the hostel staff quarters because of privacy issues. They are faculties and we don't want to disturb them. Instead of increasing CCTV cameras over there, like we can increase securities over there in order to restrict people going inside the area. And secondly, when it goes for the places like MH, as I previously mentioned you, we are not going to have out campus curfew. Like we are going to have inside campus curfew. Students are only allowed near Octa and to the SAC, to the SCIENT, and to the library.
So very simple question here. Now having curfew, we're all back inside open at 9. So after 9, so telling us go to Octa, go to library, go to Orion. So is that the kind of freedom that you are planning to achieve?
Actually, you know what? In order to implement this thing, it will take some time. It's a part. It's a part. So we have to start this actually, because the major reason why students my classmates, my class girls are asking is I got to know is they need to access SAC, they need to access library, they need to access Octa. That's the reason. So we have to make sure that whether they are able to go to that particular regions or not. So that's what first I'm gonna assure. And then eventually, if this thing goes well, then eventually we can expand the boundary so that they'll be able to go wherever they want to. So that's what.
So you mentioned a queer collective for better representation of the LGBTQIA community, right? So what do you think is the stand of the current administration on this?
It's one of the hottest hot seat.
And also, what purpose is this going to serve? Like, do you have some kind of vision for this? Like, so what will the collective work towards?
For everything, for sexual harassment, for everything, we have a cell, and we have some for ICC, we have some faculty advisors associated with this. Okay, and right now we are students, we are in a state that we are forward right now. Everybody is in a state that we are moving on, we are we are getting the Western influence, and we are able to understand what is meant by that. It's not taboo here onwards. LGBTQIA is not taboo here onwards. But right now, as you're told, the current admin's state is they are quite orthodox. So I know it is going to be quite hard to convince them. My plan is, we'll be able to, why can't we create a special cell for them with the help of a faculty advisor, and for them, some faculties from many faculties from humanities department are ready to support people from LGBTQI+. So why can't we allot a faculty as a faculty advisor for the cell, so that if they have any problem, or if they don't know where to complain, where to go and complain, if they want a voice, if they're going if they do have any problem, they'll be having official body, right? So why can't we create something like that?
So what do you think? So what is the full form of ICC?
ICC.
Yeah.
Internal Complaints Committee.
Correct. So internal complaints committee is for any kind of harassment. So it is not just for girls.
Yes.
Right? It is for boys or whoever faces any kind of harassment in campus can report to ICC, and necessary action will be taken, be it student against student, faculty, staff, anything, right? So the official body that you are talking about is already present.
And I clearly mentioned it's not only for if they have any problem in order to get complaint, it's not
because you were talking about having a faculty advisor if they have any complaints.
In the manifesto I clearly mentioned that they will be able to queer collective people used to conduct various events all over the world. Okay. So if they want to conduct some event, recently TEDx in the first year, when I was studying first year, TEDx conducted a similar kind of event. So they'll be able to conduct some event, they'll be able to get some counselors personally for them. In order to access everything, we need a faculty advisor from admin side.
Okay.
Okay. A question to all three of you. All three of you have mentioned something or the other about the library in your manifesto. First thing is, do you think the library currently has enough users ask for any sort of initiative for the library. For example, this includes time extension, this includes Wi-Fi upgradation. Do you think, first of all, is there a Wi-Fi system in the library?
Actually, there is a Wi-Fi.
There is a Wi-Fi system in the library. Both of you agree to that?
Yeah.
So, do you think the current usage of the library is enough, warrants a time extension, and how will you push it?
Regarding time extension, like regarding the 24 into 7 library extension, like I do contradict because like I know by night and all people won't use libraries. Like even though we are gonna request around 24 to 25, like this is what like general opinion I got. Like around very less number of people will use to use the library. But during like regarding Wi-Fi is mandatory. Like even though the usage may be less, we have to make sure that the people who are using it should be getting proper Wi-Fi. Like during the time of exams, people used to like people will use library like in a more extensive way. During the time, if they are not able to get proper internet, then we have to make sure that like we should be able to give them proper internet.
Okay, everything agree. But for to open it 24/7 or extend time or to upgrade your Wi-Fi, there is resources being spent, be it money, be it manpower, whatever it is. Do you think, as Madhav asked, the current usage warrants or gives you a good enough ground to demand for extension?
As I told you, it's time dependent because during the time of exams or during the time of assessments, people used to like people will use libraries extensively.
So, are they supposed to go to the library for Wi-Fi, or are they supposed to use Okta if they want to use internet
They
services?
can use Okta, but they like while in the library, why can't they use internet? That's what I'm saying. Like, why can't they use internet?
How will you justify it to the administration to improve the Wi-Fi services? They'll say send the student to the Octagon complex.
See,
I'm not
library.
saying it shouldn't be done. I'm saying how will you convince the administration?
Convincing the administration is like if it is the case, then we can increase Wi-Fi for some particular room, like specific rooms actually.
So you're saying it shouldn't be done.
What?
So you're saying now that it shouldn't be done in the entire library. Now you're saying that it should be only done for a particular room, not for the entire library.
Extensively, we have to like eventually we have to increase like regarding like because of the demand, we have to increase the Wi-Fi usage. So for that, better for like better for nothing. Like if you're getting something for nothing, like we can do it. So something is good for nothing.
You asked me that is it essential to increase the operating time of library. I say like we have to increase at least till 12 because library 12, yeah. Like I'll just validate the timings. So like I wanted to the students wanted to extend it because during the examinations people extensively study in the night time, as you know. So because morning we will be having classes or any sort of assessment, so people don't find time. I mean, people don't have enough time to like spend some time to study in the morning or during the daytime because they'll be indulged in the other academic activities in the classes. So if we have some separate time to study, so it will be obviously night or the early morning. So early morning is very difficult. So what I'm trying to suggest is like increasing the man force. Like for example, for the Octagon, we are going to increase the man force to operate it 24/7. So similarly, that we can increase the man force for library to operate it till 12 a.m. at least during the examinations, so that students can access it.
Exactly my point. Okta making it 24/7 is easier than making library 24/7. From 5 to 8, which is a non-academic time, how many people do you think will use the library in examination time? It's still less than 20 people.
Okay.
Still less than 20 people.
Like
entering.
usually, yeah, I agree to that. But usually, people, you come to the rooms at 9 p.m. and they open the books only after that. So
If
I
it's
just
an
feel
examination time, why would you come to the room at 9 p.m. first of all? You'll be studying from the beginning.
no, yes,
Even in
but,
that
but,
time, I'm saying
but the peak time. I'm
usage is
just
not
mentioning the peak time of their studies. So like that will be helpful for the students who are preparing. That's it. Just a request. So at least during the examination, the usage of library has increased from the after the pandemic. I just feel that.
To keep the library open, there should be people who have
Yes.
personal lives who have to stay back
Yes.
till 12 a.m.
Yes.
And you have to give a solid enough reason to validate that is necessary.
Yes.
Right. So we are asking you to throw such resources at this problem, so-called problem. What will you validate to the deans or to the director?
So people, so the resources, the books are available more books are available in library. So people have access to libraries, and they can make use of it during the examination, at least during the examination, not
my
during.
point. What percentage of people are nowadays reading from the books? Library.
No, they're reading from the e-books also, but library is a place where it's a place where they can study properly. So if people may feel distracted in their rooms because of the ambience in their hostels.
Tell
So
them to go to Opta.
sorry,
Tell them to go to Opta.
but libraries isn't. Libraries is more effective than Okta for studying part.
Hand the mic.
Yeah, for this question, my idea is like we can take a survey first of all. Like after the survey, if people is would have to go, like we need a count, right? If we have a good reach, like good count in the sense we can operate, or else of course we have many electronic books, so they prefer, most of the people in nowadays prefer to go off the gun. That's why we're making 24/7. So my idea is after taking a survey, we can make it up if it's needed. That's it.
Some more things. So, I just want to mention the things which I've implemented in the other college. VLT has night library shifts for both boys and girls, so they can access it, and they are providing the necessary resources for the people and the transport. For example, you may say that the girls may face some transport issues. They are providing the necessary transport and all the other resources so that the students can access the library during the night times also. This is just for your information.
Akhilan. Yeah, so regarding your curfew plan, so you said that obviously it's a long road, right? So you need to start with maybe letting them go only to like Opta and SAC, whatever you said. So this was already tried out in 2019. 2019, and the whole problem was, so they said, okay, girls can use Opta till 11 p.m. Okay, so they said after 9 p.m. you should not come out of Opta again, and at 11 p.m. only at 11 p.m. there'll be a bus to come back to come and pick you up. So when this was the plan proposed, the participation of girls was obviously very less, right? So you're telling them for those 2 hours you have to be only inside Octagon, and only at 11 o'clock you can come back, and not even with your cycle. So even say you can come in your cycle, but only at 11 as a group. So as a date, so once or twice during a fest or something like that, okay, fine. As a date, on a day-to-day basis, do you think this being the first step is even going to help move forward?
Actually, no. That's not going to help. That's why, before asking them for letting the girls out for coffee extension, we have to prove the admin that we have made the campus safe. So that's the only reason I have proposed that we have to install CCTV cameras and need to increase the security.
See, CCTV cameras is only helpful in the aftermath of the situation. Okay, suppose something happens, CCTV cameras will help you track the situation better, will help you identify what happened and kind of clarify the situation better, right? Now, leave CCTV. Apart from that, that is not the only argument they have. Do you think the admin will say, okay, now we have 150 cameras, we'll open the campus up? Do you think that is the only argument?
See, the thing is, as I've clearly told you, CCTV cameras will be only helpful. It's not only helpful in order to find the person who has done the harassment. See, let's say if there is a CCTV camera watching you, let's say I'm the person who is going to do that. Let's say there is a camera watching you. What will I do? What is the?
Do you think they care?
Actually, they will care.
Are you sure?
We cannot all time, every time we cannot assure 100% security. But it is one of the way to reduce it. It is one of the way we are going to reduce them. So that's why. So I think it will work.
So see, what I'm saying is, in the main avenues, in most of the major places which do have security cameras, we have had multiple cases of harassment which have been caught on camera. Right? And to be very honest, I don't think many of the workers or whoever, whatever, they don't have that much knowledge, right? That there's a camera there, I should not. So, and it is also happening right now, and there is curfew also. I'm just asking you, what is your approach to this? Because I think you know that so many councils have been talking about this.
So
right?
further, as Madhav suggested, as I already spoke to Spider and he was preparing for an application, so I got to know. So what the application generally does is it used to track the visitors who used to visit the campus. So why can't it implement that app? So once the Spider is done with the application. So we'll be able to get the count of the visit outsiders who are in the campus, and if they are like if they have trespassed, we'll be easily able to find out, right? So that's how we can avoid.
Answer them very, very briefly. Where do you think the stipend for the TA program is going to come from? The stipend for the TA program is going to come from where? 5,000 per semester, I think you suggested. Where is it going to come from?
Actually, like I've done some research. Actually, I was working on it. So, like what I got to know from the previous council is we have to propose this to student welfare. Then student welfare will take it into the eyes of the director. From that, like they'll be able to bring up some fund. So institute will fund the students. So that's all.
From the clubs and association fees, you're saying?
No, not at all. From institute.
So under the Students' Council or Student Welfare Office, how many funds are even available to be utilized?
Actually, student welfare fund is basically the fund which we have, like a student account fund.
No, there are multiple subdivisions. So if you're collecting money for X reason, you can only spend it on X reason.
Yeah.
So what are those X, Y, Z, W reasons?
For example, for clubs and association, we are collecting some money. For student aid fund, we are collecting some money. And here goes. So yeah.
No, there are more. So yeah, the thing is, TA-ship and RA-ship, you have to source the funds from somewhere. Institute is not running on like too much external funding. So you have to give a solution on where you can get the funds before expenditure.
Sure. I'll look at it.
Okay. For your interdisciplinary final year projects, do you think you will be able to convince individual departments to not be biased towards interdisciplinary projects while grading them? That is something completely up to the departments in how they grade individual faculties.
It's like for that, what kind of idea I thought of was like the way how mine as an open elective used to work. So for example, 150 students, let's say for fourth year batch, 150 students will be there from CSE department. So for them the grading will happen separately, and the other department students who are gonna take the project, for them the grading is gonna act separately the way how for open electives and minors used to work. So here you can remove the bias, right? So
Correct. So interdisciplinary means multiple departments.
Yes, multiple.
So what's stopping the CSE department from evaluating the chemistry part of the project very poorly, or for a more chem-oriented project poorly? Who do you think is in the current review panels of the final year projects? You got my point? For example, your project is a mix of computer and civil. Yes. CS and civil. Yes. What is stopping from, you're a student of CS, what is stopping from your CS faculty from saying that since it's a project entirely based on the civil portion of it, I'm going to grade you poorly? You get where the problem lies.
Yeah, I got it. But that's a solution. Like that's a problem I used to. But mainly what I thought of was like the first problem is, I need to look into it actually. For sure, I will look into it. But what in my case, what I thought of giving inter-department FIB is what generally CSE students used to take as project. Why can't other non-CSE students can't do that? For example, a lot of people will be interested in doing a project in machine learning. Will be interested in doing a project in management. Will be like you are saying. Not interdisciplinary. What I said was
completely other department.
Yes, completely to the other department.
So you have to word it better.
Yes. So it's like for management they will be doing the project completely based on management, and for CSE they will be doing a project completely based on CSE.
Okay. One question to all three of you. What do you think prevented us from having more MOUs with foreign universities? I think if you were present in the General Secretary debate, you would have a slight opinion about it. But we can start with Shakti, Srinivas, and Ravi.
So the day we have discussed, but we can't able to promise us the universities in the MOUs which we are going to we are getting signed from universities or outside sources. We can like if you go exactly what to tell is if we're going to sign MOU from an outside source, we can't able to promise them as like in the MOU we can't able to promise that exactly. I can't get the word exactly like.
Srinivas. Give it 2 seconds.
Yeah. So mainly the thing is that, for example, if a student wants to go to a foreign exchange program, there is it's completely ambiguous that whether the student has to pay the fees for that or the institute will pay the fees for that, and like the student has to
I'm saying what's stopping us from signing, associating with a foreign university in itself.
Yes.
On any parameter, not just an exchange parameter.
Okay.
On associating with a foreign university.
So maybe I just feel like as said, like the MOUs. I mean, yeah, the MOUs aren't being agreed by the foreign universities. Like the foreign universities aren't agreeing to us. Maybe it could be due to the reputation or some. I mean, some foreign universities aren't interested in signing up with the universities due to various reasons, and they don't want to spend their resource like. I mean, I just want to say that they don't want to spend their resource in an ununiform way. So yeah.
So MOUs involve promises from both sides.
Yes.
In a more cleaner way, let's say NIT Trichy wants to sign a MOU with a foreign university. We will expect a better university than NIT Trichy. What is the reason why the foreign university has to collaborate with NIT Trichy, which is much more higher in rank compared to that foreign university? They won't agree. That's why. But it is possible to sign MOUs with universities which is higher in rank compared to NIT Trichy.
And one more thing to add on, like if you are signing an MOU, the respective universities should benefit. Both the universities should get benefited. So if only one university is getting benefited, it's a complete loss for the another university. So that's the main reason we aren't getting for university.
Fine. Thank you, guys. This concludes the Q&A session. Now let's move on to the next session.
I'll open the floor for questions from the audience. Ready? Please have. Anyone else with a question? That will follow this. Is there any audience questions? So next you want to please professor.
Yeah, so this question is directed to Srinivas. You mentioned that you're going to install private cellular towers in campus.
Yes.
So when I spoke to one of the deans regarding this, she mentioned that NIT is an eco-friendly system. Like we cannot do anything that will harm the environment by the one second. So she said that we tried proposing different solutions, like we looked in areas where there aren't trees. But she mentioned that just having a tower would impact the wildlife, and NIT is very particular about it, and they wouldn't compromise on that one thing. So I did try convincing her, it didn't work out. So I want to know what different method are you going to use to convince her, like, despite what she told me.
I hope you know that there's a BSNL office in our campus. So they do have a towers in the campus. So why is it stopping the NIT Trichy administration to have private cellular towers?
The point is, the ones that are already fixed right now, they are in place, and despite that, there's a good amount of birds and stuff. They're not
No,
affected.
Is there a question? What's the question?
We spoke about private cellular towers. They said that birds over there are getting affected.
What's the question? Which is?
Which is like, how is it going to convince them? Like, despite this.
How are you going to
Already we have a private. We have BSNL towers in the campus. So
Yeah,
if
so why are you asking for more?
So no. See, the problem is everyone is not having BSNL towers, and like if you take a survey that most of them have private cellular towers than the BSNL towers, so it will help the candidates to improve the connectivity. So if you just let me finish it. So if you just check the connectivity in your hostel, I get the signal of the tower is very very weak, and even if you want to call out my parents or anyone else, it's very difficult. So So I have to change my SIM. I have to buy a new BSNL SIM for that. So whenever I go back to my hometown or something else, so the BSNL connectivity may be poor. So why should a student spend changing the connectivity according to the the convenience? So if we have a BSNL tower, what's the problem of having another private cellular tower? Anyway, it's gonna affect it, right? So you are suggesting that? Are you suggesting to remove BSNL towers too?
No, I'm fine. So, yes. The question is, we tried proposing this to admin and they had an issue with it. Alright, so
Okay.
I do understand the necessity to have private cellular tower. Now that I've already presented it and it hasn't gone on, what are you going to say different
Yes.
to what I proposed
Yes.
to make it happen?
So,
My question.
yes, I get it. So what I suggest them is the connectivity issues are very poor, and so people, if the Wi-Fi is not working, so people have to rely on their mobile hotspots. So it will be a better opportunity for the people to use the private cellular tower. And can you specify the reasons, like as you said, like it's affecting the environment? I'll just ask them that already we have a BSNL tower, isn't it affecting the environment? So are you suggesting to remove that BSNL tower?
See, I don't know why you're diverting from the question. The question is not to remove existing towers. The question is, like, the point is, when you said you're going to install new towers, you
Yes.
proposed the plan, they
Yes.
displayed some resistance
Yes.
to it. How are you going to overcome it? I don't know why
Yes,
you're
yes, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, wait, let me finish. Okay, you spoke about Wi-Fi not being good, right? Do you know that we're going to have Wi-Fi routers coming up?
Yes, but like you can't rely on the Wi-Fi. Like, what if a Wi-Fi server breaks down? Like even to, I mean, okay.
That is the point of having Wi-Fi 6 routers. There is no data collision. It's going to overcome all the barriers now. There will be more number of access points. That's why we're having Wi-Fi.
Can we guarantee the technical working of the Wi-Fi?
Can you
Can you guarantee that?
Can you guarantee the technical working of your
No, it
cellular
will increase the
tower?
probability of using the connectivity in the campus, right? These mobiles, everyone is
No
using mobile.
follow-ups, no follow-ups.
Any other questions? Please keep your questions short.
So, talking about the settlements, I was helping Akhil while making that. So, are you aware of the UGC regulations?
Yes, yes.
So
So
they have
using
okay. So they have clearly we have talked with the faculties as well.
Yes.
And those faculties, if you propose a request to a senate, they will not directly accept. Like they will have senate will have some faculty members.
Yes.
Have you discussed with any of the faculties? Because we have talked with some of the faculties, and they were not happy with the decision of 50% attendance. If you can't able to, and we also talked with the associate dean as well, and they were not satisfied with that. So if you if these people can't able to or not satisfied, faculties are not satisfied with this decision, how will you propose this request to senate? Because you mentioned that you will request to the senate.
Yes, I've said that I'll request the Senate. And as for the UGC, it's called as guidelines. And I hope you know that which Goa and which Pilani, which have 0% attendance, they too come, all the universities, let me finish, all the universities come under UGC in India. So we are entitled as a deemed university. So we have the the liberty to frame the attendance according to that. So I guess we'll be able to do that. Coming part to the next part. So you're asking how will you convince the admin? So as stated earlier, I'll say the main reasons for that. So it's like only if you request for them, you'll be able to know what are the difficulty details. Only discussing with few faculties is not viable. So you have to discuss with the entire faculties who are available over there. Only then you'll be able to know all the views, right? So another question is did you have all the views of all the faculties? Or let them disagree. Did you have the views from all the faculties? Only if we have the views from all the faculties and all the senate members, we'll be able to arrive in a conclusion, right?
Yeah, makes sense. But the thing is, the faculties are being represented by the associate dean, right? Have you talked with any of the academics dean?
No, I haven't talked with the associate dean because this issue, I can talk with them only if them elected, and it's not only decided by the associate dean, it's decided by the senate, entire senate, or even the director has the right to decide on that. So only after discussing with the entire team, you can arrive on the conclusions. So you can't arrive on the conclusion only with discussing with the associate dean's academic.
So the last question is without you don't know about the faculty's opinion first of all. Without that, how did you propose it in your manifesto?
No, I didn't see. So this is about the students, right? This is about the students, and I'm repeating it again. You can't determine it only with few faculties' decision. So you can't say that this faculty is saying that it's not viable, and you can't disagree to that. You have to ask the entire thing. So even if you as per the NEP, National Education Policy, yesterday we had an option of having two dual degrees. So, for example, if you're interested in CSE and mechanical engineering, you can do both. So, and I just feel that we have been evolving, and attendance is not I have proposed this only for the final years, and we have completed all the core courses. Do you think it's still going to affect the people? Because at last you have to write the end semester examinations. Only if you pass the end semester examinations, you'll be able to get your degree. Right?
One final question. One final question.
Yeah, final. So one final question is like, you know that our college, all the NITs and IITs strictly follow UGC guidelines, which is clearly evident from the last COVID protocols. Okay.
Yes.
So UGC have clearly stated the point that like any college can decide above 75. Okay, between 75 to 100, but no college is allowed to have below 75. That is clearly mentioned in the UGC regulations, which is released in
Like it's called guidelines, not regulations. It's guidelines.
regulations.
Yeah,
I can show you the proof.
guidelines.
I can show you the proof. It is UGC
I'll
regulations.
how
UGC
does-
regulations
Okay,
2003. I can show you the proof. I can show you the proof.
That's it.
Okay, okay.
One last question. Make sure not to have any follow-ups. Whatever you have asked, make it clear in one go. The candidate, make sure whatever you have to answer, you make it clear in one go. Don't have any follow-ups.
Cool.
I'd like to get an opinion on this question from every one of you. Like, this is a question representing the entire student community. Like, there has been instances wherein the student council, which acts as a bridge between the students and the admin, has been acting as if they are the loudspeakers of the admin. Like, how can we be sure that you wouldn't be one among them?
Beg your pardon? I don't get your question.
He's saying, what if the students' council is admin favoring?
What if student council is?
Favoring the admin. You will be independent of the admin.
So we need to prove like how will you be always to the side of the students, right?
As if I elected in the sense like I have been elected by the students, so I will work for the students. I ensure you that if I become a president, I will be student favor. Then not completely student favor, but then I ask suggestions from admin and then I take decisions. This is what I do from my part.
So I guess we have to be diplomatic with the administration because you can't go and directly fight with them. So you have to maintain a diplomatic relationships with them. So you have to negotiate, and you have to, if you have something in your mind, if you have the proper reasons to validate, I just feel that anything can be done, even if they're disagreeing to that. So we'll just explain the students why admin is disagreeing to that, and we'll just explain the students that what are the difficulties faced by the student council in convincing them. So we'll make it everything open so that the students can understand what are the difficulties faced by the student council to take up these measures.
So I will tell you my experience. Can I tell my experience? So being a CR, like the way how I used to handle faculties is like I'll just tell that like I need some extension or something like that. For that, what will I say? Ma'am, the students are torturing me like anything. So please do, ma'am. Like those students are so bad. Like please get me the extension. Please help me out. That's how I used to speak. So, but that doesn't mean that I'm faculty sided, right? I'm being like I'm student sided, but in order to get something for student, I should be like I should act like faculty sided. So that's how I'm gonna approach. So that's what I think.
Any particular scenario you want to take? Any particular scenario you want to refer to?
Once again, so we are actually honored to have our ex-General Secretary Satish Sharma over here. So he wants to ask.
Hey folks, I just have a simple generic question to all three of you. I could see that you guys have mentioned a lot of fancy stuff in your manifesto, but the harsh reality would be you guys would never have the bandwidth to focus on all those things. So in case, let's take a scenario that you don't have the bandwidth to focus on all these things. What would be your prioritization? Let's say, let me just know your prioritization on 3-4 things that you have mentioned in manifesto. I think that would give maybe 2 also.
Top two priority items from each one.
So first, I want to go ahead with the attendance part. That's the most important thing. So then the next thing is that I really want to go ahead with the this you do thing. And at last, like I'll add one more thing to that. So usually we as a student we've been facing a lot of difficulties. So I really wanna make sure that every student, like I mean, we have been putting up fancy, as you said, we have been putting up fancy things in the manifesto, but it's going to be very difficult. So I mean, like only if you try, we'll be able to make some changes.
What's
So,
the initiative? What's the initiative?
sorry?
What's the third thing?
No, I'm just saying. I mean, I'm just
Chill.
mentioning generally. Yeah.
Just to
Yeah.
move
I-
on to the next one.
Fine. First, I go with the personality development classes, so it's easy to implement. And then, secondly, I will be doing like extending the insurance criteria, which is right now it's the reimbursement amount is 1.25 lakhs, which can be extended to 2. So, because within 2 months the MOU is going to end, so we can sign up a new MOU with 2 lakhs.
The new MOU is also signed.
Yeah.
I'll go with the interdepartment final year project. It's not fancy actually. Actually, it's useful to people because, like, if you deeply look into it, the reason why I came up with the solution is final year projects are not compulsory. Right? From my batch onwards, it's not compulsory. Either we can do a final year project, otherwise we can do 2 elective courses. But just think about that. If I'm gonna do 2 elective courses, then I have to sit for 4 CTs, then I have to write 2 exams, and they have to give some assignments. Which is a huge process.
Second initiative. Second initiative.
Yeah. Then my second initiative is hostel management committee. Everybody, literally everybody is facing the issue. Like you guys are having a lot of issues with the hostel, which is not getting rectified. The reason is HRs, hostel representatives are there, but right now some elections are given. Like nobody was willing to apply for the post of HR. Very less amount of people, very few amount of people are ready to apply for the post of HR because of like they don't have power. Actually, we have to give them some power. Okay, like with the power comes responsibility. So we have to give them some power so that they'll be able to take care of all the things. So my idea is like as the previous council and as Madhav's council, as Sati's council, like the past 3 councils, they had the idea of implementing something called a hostel council. Okay, so in a more cleaner way, last year like it has happened, but we couldn't able to establish it in a proper way. This time, like we are coming up with a thing called hostel management committee, where as we'll be having hostel secretary as well as like we'll be having all the hostel reps will be having power directly over to the estate maintenance as well as hostel office. So there is no need for them to go to the student council every time because student council can able to take care of things. At the same time, they will not be able to completely take responsibility of things what's happening in the hostel.
Yeah. So, folks, just one more quick question. So, you guys have one important responsibility of allocating funds, right? I think you may be aware of all those processes, and a lot of councils have been following the same procedure for a lot of years. I'd like to know, like, do you have any, something you would like to change in the fund allocation between clubs and fests? Have you thought about it, something on that area, or do you think the current procedure and everything is fine, and would like to extend the same amount of funds to the existing fests and clubs?
Thank you, Satish, for asking.
Just keep it short.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
to know your
Yeah,
thoughts on
thank you for asking this question. Usually, the clubs, I mean, what I've heard is all the clubs will demand some money according to the needs, but they haven't been provided with the same amount of money. For example, Baha, like, is demanding some more money for the things, but they have been provided only with less money because due to the, because they have been limited with the resources. So I just feel that adding on more funds to the student clubs will help them to improve all the clubs.
When it comes for that, like as I told, like one of my friend is from PSI, like I want to mention his name is Sandeep. So I used to say that the budget what is being provided to PSI is not enough. Okay, so like there are some clubs which seriously needs. So I will find out the clubs which are spending their money from their own pocket because like clubs like PSI should be addressed because the people are spending their own money. They are spending around 10,000 to 15,000. So I'll be giving some priority to those clubs as well. So I will try my best to get some additional budget for clubs like that. So that's what the kind of change I want to change.
Go ahead. Continue. Crowd question.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, according to the
What do you want to say?
He's here to answer.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
fine.
according to the need of clubs, we can have a interaction and then we can take initiatives. If it's need initial, we can provide some amount and then like at final at seeing after the bill settlements, we can give the.
A common question to the three of you: do you think when the entire, I'll just give you rough numbers, okay? Tell me. 15L is the total council budget, out of which PSI is asking for 5 lakhs. Okay. Do you think it's justified to give a team of 25 members a budget of 5L, which is 1/3 of your budget, when it affects only 25 people and not the entire campus community?
So like it's not actually good. Like we need to interact and
But you just said that you will give them more budget based on an interaction with them.
Based on interaction, we need to with the faculties, we can interact and then we can take decisions. Like we can't able to give the full amount, I guess. So
Are you aware what is the total club budget allocation for this year? All clubs.
it's 29.
Huh?
29 else.
Okay, it was 24, 25.
Yeah.
PSI asked for close to 10. So you tell me, right, every student is contributing to the club and association. How many students are benefiting from that amount?
So 20
Requirement or not, that is also considered. But how many students are benefiting?
that 24.
Club. So is it justified? If we give close to 40-45% of the entire budget to 25?
It's not actually justified.
As you said earlier, so we'll try to increase the means of increasing the total budget. That's the only way.
How do we get the budget? How does the council get the budget?
So like we have to prove the admin that these are the needs of these clubs, and at least if we try to improve them by some percentage, it will be helpful for all the clubs, not only for a single club.
You understand it's both double-edged sword. You increase the budget here, your total fees increases.
Yes.
So students on the other hand will ask you, why are you increasing the budget? So will you tell them that for 25 PSI people I increase the budget by
No, like
X amount?
we can try to compensate the other budget, not the other club budgets, other budgets. For example, we can try to compensate the fest budget. Yeah.
How many people does a fest affect?
Sorry.
How many people does a fest affect?
Okay. For example, a fest. For example, if I'm taking Pregyan is an international fest, so it's open to everyone. So reducing, it's about optimizing the funds. Okay. It's
So
about
you think the
optimizing-
current funds are not optimized? That us allocating
No,
more
like
for
efficiency can be improved again and again. Like anything is not, efficient till now. Like efficiencies can be improved again and again. So we can try to reach the optimum level.
We completely agree with the fact that say PSI has more requirements, they need money. But the fact that you are putting that on the student community to pay more fees is wrong.
Yes, I'm not saying to increase the
Now
fees.
think differently and think of other solutions, please.
So that's what I'm asking. Like we have to avoid the unnecessary. For example,
So you're calling Pregyan funds unnecessary?
no. Just I think let me complete it. For example, if you are a part of OC team, like all the requirements are bought, and after the fest ends, all these requirements are being scattered around and it's not being reused again. So we can try to optimize the available resources. So that, for example, if you need scissors for an event, so for the next years, those scissors are being scattered away and
Fine.
they're not.
Yeah, kindly do your research on it and you can, when you are elected as a president, final answer.
Yeah, so the best thing what I can do is, instead of increasing the fees, you know how Pregyan and Customer used to work. They do have their own marketing team. Yeah, so why can't we incorporate the marketing team inside a particular club? So why can't they make their own money apart from the budget? So we can do something like that.
Fine, okay. We are done with this side. Okay, carry forward with the king.
So we just cut short the first question to one question. So there are more questions that will be given. Or if you answer the question. So it's up to you. Can I go first? Whoever you want to address the question.
So my question is to Akilan. So you said that you need a women's forum where there female students can address their queries and even you mentioned some sexual harassment and stuff. So they can address there.
but then like we have ICC. You also mentioned that as well. Like we have ICC, but then do you think it's feasible? Like a woman can post their such a cases in the forum?
Surely you are taking me wrong, I guess. Forum means it's not a website or something like that. We are not going to post anything. Okay, it's a set of people. Okay, like let's say you are having some problem. It's not just problem. If you need some any facilities, ultimately this forum is going to be headed by vice president. Okay, so vice president who is being elected by the student body. So if you want any requirements or if you have any problems, like they can come via this forum. And secondly, like as I've told you, many students won't be like will feel hard to just go to the faculty and report it to them. So as like when this kind of topic came to my mind, like I approached the current council, like approached the vice president, Ms. Pooja, like she suggested that the better way, what's the best requirement we can do is, the best thing we can do is, we can create the advisory committee with the help of the students itself. So by creating it as well as, and as I'm clearly stating that with this forum, we are not only going to address the harassment, so we are going to address their own problems as well as the problems which is present in Opal. At last, as I clearly told you, this is going to be headed by the vice president.
So for this, there is an email ID called iic@nit.edu. There you can address this, and those the ID is accessed by the faculty advisor who is for the ICC committee.
In order to file a complaint,
then let me finish. Like then, what is the need of a forum? Like we can there is a individual contact numbers too. Like
I'm telling you, I'm clearly telling you, it's not only for complaining. It's not only for harassment. It's for counseling. It's for everything. Some students may not think that they don't want to seek the help of the faculties until the thing turns out to be serious. They need their friends support. They need a counselor who can be their own co-student itself. That's what I'm clearly mentioning.
So that can be done in mail ID. Right? That can be done.
Exactly.
That
person can approach the vice president.
You can do that, right? Why? I'm asking. There is no need of creating.
Forum will make them feel more comfortable. That's why, like every time, like will the student have to mail that somebody has harassed me, please do help me. Or like every time they have to mail, and like if that student is not interested to get the thing to be turned out to the admin, like to the admin or to the person, then like we need some counseling or something like that. Right? That's the only reason we have a forum like this.
Fine, thank you.
Only one question, no follow-ups.
My question is to Mr. Akilan. So Akilan has mentioned that he'll be giving 5,000 for the teaching assistant and research assistant. So I made a quick guesstimate. So for example, we have around 4 core courses and 2 electives. This is the average thing. So for 4 core courses, you have 4 different faculties. So and for 2 electives, we have 2 different faculties. The 4 core courses is just for a single section. For the dual sections, you have 8 sections. So you'll have 8 faculties and 2 common, faculties, totally 10 faculties. For 10 faculties, you'll have 10. For 10 faculties, you'll have 10 teaching assistants. For example, if it takes 5,000 per student, so it will be 5,000 into 10 is 50k. So 50k is for a department in a year. Then if we have 10 departments for that, so 50k into 10 is 5 lakhs. So 5 lakhs we have it for considering for all the 4 years, it's 20 lakh per month. Do you think that we can put in so much money? So the budget is around 20.
Finish your question.
That's the only reason I'm not asking the money from the student. I'm gonna request the institute. I'm gonna propose this thing into the Senate. Then I'll make the institute to pay for it. I'm not gonna take the money from somebody's fees.
Just one more follow-up. So you know how much we spend for waters? So we spend for water 20 lakhs. Okay? So like for the essential thing we are spending it. So do you think it's 20 lakh per month? So it's only for teaching assistant. For research assistant, you have to give 20 more exams. So that's 40 lakhs per month. Do you think it's really affordable by even institute? So 40 lakhs per month, if you multiply for 12 months, it's 4 to 80 lakhs, right? So you can even start a new department with that money. So do you think it's really affordable by the institute? Since you said it's institute is gonna empower us.
When it is gonna be useful for some students, then of course the institute can spend some money, and this is institute's money. They have a lot of money. They'll be able to spend it.
No more follow-ups. Let your question. Just make it short.
So my question was for Shakti. So I'm told that you will be able to bring up something like MIS. So how are you going to make this thing happen? I'll state you one small thing. Like I've met Dr. Bhaskaran, like the CSHOD. So he has told that like our current MIS has been developed by TCS by outsourcing. In order to make one small feature change, it is going to take around 25 lakhs. And he is saying that institute is not willing to change that. So what kind of plan do you have?
Yeah, as well I have talked same. You have talked with the head. I have talked with the assistant. Samsung sir. So he said the same reason they can't able to make it like it's a thesis method with the old JavaScript and stuff. So in future, like if we're going to change, I'm saying like completely changing the MIS with the like I'll be releasing a tender to a startups. Even startup can do really good websites nowadays. So with the startups, if we're going up means the budget will be less when comparing to a big like a TCS company we're going now. They will of course they will ask near crores in nowadays because they made that 25 lakhs tender in more like years two back. So with the new tenders to the like new startups, we can make it.
So you know how the debate will work, right? So we're just gonna have one topic from both. We're running short on time. I'll give you the topic. I'll give you 30 seconds to sequence your thoughts. Okay, go ahead. So already talked about a lot of issues that's there in our college. I want you to narrow down to just two biggest issues that you feel, and how do you plan on correcting those issues? Just give me a detailed. It's not based on your 100%. Just
Can you be somewhat clear with the question?
yeah. So the thing is, you discuss about a lot of things that's there in our college, like a lot of problems. I want you to narrow it down to just two biggest problems you feel, or the biggest things that are facing our college, and give me an action plan as to how you will tackle it. Okay. 30 seconds to start. Following your speech, you will be given a chance to ask one question, no follow-ups, just one question. Once you go first.
Yeah. So the first problem, I want to say two problems. Right? So the first problem, what I thought was hostels. Okay, like hostels should be maintained properly. Everybody is having problem with hostels. Okay, so as I've previously told you, I've clearly mentioned in my manifesto that I'm gonna implement something called hostel management committee with the help of hostel secretary alongside with the hostel heads. Okay, and we are gonna give some additional powers to the HR, so like they will take their responsibility and they'll be able to do something back to their co-students. And second thing, it's a very long back process, like long back problem, which hasn't been solved yet. That's curfew, and I've clearly mentioned my action plan as well as. So we are gonna make the campus much more secure in a way. I know curfew is not that easy to be like, but it is going to be taking a lot of efforts, and I myself have to put some steps on towards that. So I'm gonna. So these are the two problems I consider as.
Who wants to go next? You will get 1.5 minutes.
So, like, in this pandemic, we didn't have a standard mitigation strategy for conducting these CTs. So people, even the faculties were confused because they didn't get a proper communication from the admin side. So they were confused whether they have to conduct it in online or offline. So the pandemic is not over yet. So if this pandemic repeats itself, we should have some standard mitigation strategies so that people can follow that strategies to avoid all these confusions. The second most thing is this has to be addressed. Yeah. The second most thing is that people have been facing issues in transport. Like for example, if you are commuting from Central bus stand to NIT Trichy, like they have to take up the Tuakudi bus. But with those Tuakudi bus, the frequency is very less. So the frequency of the Tanjavur to Trichy bus is more. But those people aren't stopping at this. The entrance of the NIT Trichy is like only if there are more than 10 to 15 people, they are stopping before the bridge. So I would request the TNSTC to have a stop for these inter-district bus to stop at NIT Trichy.
There is two things. I have to have two things. Like in women's health, I have mentioned the first intervals at regular period, so we can make it up. Like as of now, we have two buses. Like one is at 8:30 and one is at 12:30 from Opal to Bon Hall. which we can be make it up every 2 hours, and also like there is 3 more buses in FC. Once like I have like asked in Transport Commission, so they said they have 3 buses which is in FC. Once it get the FC documents are completed, we can make it up to like frequently we can make buses in periodical time. And one more thing is next change, which is a website I've mentioned. Like most of the people can't able to sell their books. Like they have a seniors have a good books and juniors didn't get the book same. So with this app, they can like with this website they can sell their books and stuff.
As Shani just said, taking an exchange, do you think like it's going to be feasible? Because, for example, if someone is buying a book from the senior and like if he has some issues the next day, not only for books, I guess you have mentioned the NAD exchange not only for books, you have for all the other things too, I guess, right? So if, for example, if someone is buying an iron box or not an iron box, some electrical appliance from the senior, and if the next day the product is not working, that student will create a chaos. And whom do you expect to manage all these chaos? Do you expect the student council or the administration to manage all these chaos?
Basically, this website works like an OLX. The policies will be provided before in hand, and they need to ensure whether it is working good or not. And it's not even an online payment. You can go and visit. If it's a good condition, you can buy, or else you can. You don't want to pick it up. That's it.
Yes, so Srinivas has suggested a good idea actually, making the bus to stop at the entrance. But like even I myself, while creating the manifesto, I thought of and I did a basic research. First thing is, the first question I got is, then what is the reason they are having the ramp towards the place? So how are you going to tackle it? And do you know whom to approach this? Do you know whom to contact in order to get the bus to be stopped?
So I want to go ahead to this question. The ramp was created for the students' convenience so that the buses can travel accordingly. But there is a need for the students to have, for example, if there are 15 to 20 students traveling from NAD Trichy to, Central Pakistan to NAD Trichy, they don't have an 240 bus, but if they have an inter-district bus from Trichy to Tanjavur, they can make use of that. And to approach, we have to approach the TNSTC, Tamil Nadu State Transport Corporation, to solve this issue. We have to give a request to them from our institute so that they can make the necessary changes.
I can suggest you something good. We can seek the help of the energy collector. Yeah, it's